Welcome back, everyone. Sorry it's been too long. Life was happening. Welcome back to Mirror Minds. Today I have my guest. I think you all know him. It's Dume. My brother, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
When last did we have this kind of discussion? Live.
I'm bad when it comes to remembering dates.
But it must be more than a year. Or probably a year.
Yeah, more or less.
More
or less there.
So before we jump into the whole thing, do you think I wanted, when I was back home, when I was stuck there and looking at all the chaos, all the commotion, I remembered these little moments of having this kind of discussion, because there it's very tough to attempt to have even this conversation, because the environment is not appropriate enough. It's a bit chaotic. Unless you're used to it, or unless you're a bit apart from you put yourself apart from the crowd. But it's very hard because everything is political. The environment reminds you everything pretty much, and we still have a full-on war over there. So it's very tough to have this kind of discussion. So I was remembering, and then I thought to myself, what has this done so far? What has it contributed both positively and negatively to people that I've been talking to? So that's why I wanted to meet with you as well. There's a lot, of course, that I can't say out here publicly, but I sort of, before we get into whichever subject we talk about, I need to know what your experience as far as having this sort of discussions, what has that experience been like?
Well, I think maybe for me is to change the way I see life. Like you say, when you're back home, it was difficult for you to, bring you to a point where you have this kind of, thoughts and have the luxury of, have your mind go through the things we discuss here. So I would say for me, what it has done is given me the ability to be able to sort of take a step back and see how life unfolds. And sometimes it has brought relief in the sense that things don't become as personal as they were before, where you try and personalize everything and think everything is about you. But also, I think we mentioned this even in one of our sittings, where once you realize the tragedy of it, where you're experiencing life as it were, but sort of in it, so much happens and you don't even know what to do, where to start and stuff like that. And once you then realize that and you see that there are people who are caught up in that kind of setup where life for them is something that is, there is that longing to say, okay, look, there's another way you can look at this, and it might bring you this sort of relief. So for me, I'd say it has brought more of an advantage than a disadvantage. So I'd say it that way. Yeah.
I think for me too. And probably this is the most meaningful thing I've ever done my whole life. And well, according to the definition of meaningful, I think I've tried many things. I guess you can count them: study well, work well, be a good mother in a family, things like that. But as far as I'm concerned, those seem to be almost nothing compared to actually, investigating what the whole thing is as a whole, not as in job and this and that. So I completely agree with you on that one, and I'm grateful. But when I got there, one thing I noticed is it was almost impossible to have, even for myself, to have this luxury you would find yourself in, there would be some moments of peace where you're not trying to solve. Because, of course, every time you're doing some documentation stuff, there's always a stress of tomorrow I have to go there.
Deadlines and all that, yeah.
But then when you combine that with an environment that you haven't been in a long time, it's tricky. Then you combine it in the chaos of the environment, it's very tricky. So it was almost impossible. I felt like I was almost not living. I was surviving constantly.
Yeah.
So if that's what's happening for me with, I don't want to say experience, with the amount of experience I have as far as this is concerned, as far as, taking a break and like looking at the whole thing from an entirely different perspective. Now imagine someone who's never taken that first step and all he's known is that.
That kind of, yeah.
So, and it reflects itself in the environment. A lot of churches. Every maybe 1 kilometer, there's a church. Bigger, smaller, but even when there's a big church, there's a tiny little church on the side.
There's a cell somewhere, some small group,
So it's really like you have your ShopRites, you have your Checkers, you have the people selling on the street, but religiously.
Yeah.
So all that just shows how much longing is happening in the environment and probably a disorder there. So that is a reflection on a small scale, but I'm guessing that's what's happening everywhere. On a larger scale, the world at large, is that people have different approaches. Some it's really just religiously, some it's really dive into like distraction or entertainment. Bars and so on, and some it's probably caves where they hide in and sort of what they call meditate and all that.
Your monks and all that, yeah.
So it was very shocking to me. What was even more shocking is that that's what I call home, right? So I would guess that where you call home is where you find peace, right?
Yeah.
So and it felt really awful that. From this side, there's some sort of minimum order. They also have their own problem, and I've also tried to contribute the best way I can to help
to bring out that. Yeah.
So the incapability of me to do that home kind of hit hard. You know? So I was thinking of the best approach to do it, but I try to think of all the possible options, and I could see that they need some sort of foundation before you have this sort of discussion. Otherwise, it's almost impossible.
It is.
Are we saying, if that is the case, do we say that normal order or development or peace is required for man before he can get out of this suffering entirely? Or from that chaos, there could be a leap?
I think, first let's go back to the point where you say you're at home, where it's supposed to make you feel peaceful, because, it's your home at the end of the day. But I think what we also call home is a familiar territory or environment, because then you know what to expect. There are no surprises. You go into the kitchen, that's where you've been getting that utensil or that plate, that. So, and for me, that's peace on the surface level, because it's peace where you don't have to work so hard to anticipate what can come after. And I think maybe for you, again, being in that environment, which are so different from the environment that you're coming from, that familiarity and that expectation was now different, because it almost seemed like a territory that you're not familiar with. So what you then call peace is a territory or an environment where you feel less danger, you know.
Feel a bit in control.
A bit in control. So, and I think that's what we always try and do in life in general. You try and create that environment where you are able to anticipate
the next
move. And like you said, what that then brings is, because now you are in the life, you are trying to fulfill all these expectations that have made you believe that once I get to that level, I get to that stage, then I can sit back and, you know, and sort of have this peace, as it were. And so it's in two parts. Peace from there, or peace where you have now stepped back and you are seeing the whole thing, or peace because you have fulfilled what the life calls for within that life. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to understand is, are there necessary steps for a man to be able to now say, I can sit and investigate? Because it almost seemed impossible for me that someone would do that in that environment. Well, maybe in the comfort of their home when they're used to it and they're used to the chaos, but they have maybe some secure zone. They could probably do it, but it's so chaotic that, and I'm guessing it's the same, it's not just there, I'm sure some areas here too. It's so chaotic that you would need to sort out some things first before. This seems trivial. It seems almost a waste of time in the face of the real issues at hand. So if that is the case, then some people are doomed, because some are born in it and we die in it, and you know, it's just constant. I mean, think of I went and visited some street kids and some orphans. Some never make it out. They start there, they die there. I went and visited some so-called crazy people. Some will never get out of that. So it's both revolting and you know, it's pitiful. Yeah. For someone to see that, and the society that we have is unable to do anything about it. And what seems to be necessary, those necessary steps are really easy to accomplish if we weren't so greedy, if we didn't have this power struggle. I mean, you look at what's happening with the Trumps and them bombing everyone now. I mean, there's some people that are doing some horrible, horrible crimes. You can't even say it out here in the public because of, they have so much power. There's the censorship and all of that. Yeah. And these are the same people that were probably suffering a few years ago as well. And they do the same. So, you know, it's I think one thing I learned from there is that you need the basics. You need security. You need security for your body, and to know that you are safe and secure. You need to have eaten something. You need to know, to anticipate there won't be anything coming your way. Right? Then now you can move here. Now, let's assume you have 20 people that manage to get out, to have those basics, right? And they maybe do this. What do you think would they bring to this world? Is there anything significant really that they can do in the face of all this conundrum?
I think once you understand what man needs as the basic for him to be able to strive or to at least live a meaningful life. Once the man gets and he understands that this is what I need, like the things you mentioned, your shelter, your food, you know, the basics. Once he understands that, and not only that, but once he also understands that these are the things that come after that, are more of wants than needs. There are things that men can do without. if he takes his fulfillment of his
like
needs,
what? Like what can men do without?
you can do without 6 cars.
Yeah.
You can do without, a huge mansion where you have 1 child and you have 6 bedrooms.
Yeah, but to that man, he can't listen to what you're saying.
Yes.
Saying, I need this. I mean, how can you tell me I don't need a mansion and my neighbor has a mansion there?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, that
Yeah.
it's only a man that is able to fully think of what it is that he says he needs or what it is that he says he wants. Because remember, I mentioned that when you have someone who's so fully engrossed in life, it's very difficult for that person to see these things because they are busy. There's that target to meet, there's all that, right? And you mentioned these other 20 that understand that these are the basics that's needed. And these other things, even in their pursuit of those things, we might not have so much conflict that we have. Because the conflict is not so much on the basics. The conflict is so much on...
It's on the superficial.
On the superficial, on the want, and that's where the whole commotion happens. Look, you don't need much to breathe and, in terms of food and stuff like that. You don't need much. And it's not that most people can't afford those things. They can. But it's these other things that they have deemed them necessary to have. That's where the chaos and everything happens. And I'm saying it's only someone who's able to sit back and reflect on these things and think, do I really need this or do I want that? So when you have more of people thinking that way, I think from what I understand, you might have less conflict happening around the world.
Yeah, but all this sounds so obvious.
It sounds so obvious to the man who hasn't reflected on them. It's one thing to know something, and it's
I know a guy. he recently built this huge, beautiful house.
Yeah.
Right. And then because he's always wanted to build a house, so he put a lot of energy, a lot of money in it. But he doesn't. Probably all the rooms that are there are unoccupied because there's not. The family isn't that big. And eventually, when he was looking at it, it's like
What reasons did he give?
Yeah.
Or does he give to want that?
Even he questioned himself. It's like, why all of this?
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying that if you give yourself enough time, you will see that the things that occupy so much of your time and the things that make you want to go out there and, whether they call it grinding, hustling, or whatever you want to call it. If you look at them, you realize that they are not so much on the level of basic needs. They are on the wants. But only a man who has seriously thought on those things can really see them for what they are. Not that he will stop pursuing those things, but it might bring him to a point where he pursues them with a different attitude because he understands that these are not things that count as needs. They are wants. And I'm saying with that thought or that line of reasoning, a lot of conflict would be
As we're talking about that, what is that triangle called? It's the Maslow's hierarchy something. So you have what's your basic needs, survival, shelter. What are the top? It's enlightenment or what?
I forgot, but I see the triangle you're talking about that lists these things.
I think it must be self-realization at the very top. Which, I don't know, I hate that word self-realization. It sounds, but I understand why they're trying to point at. But I guess the question we're asking is, from the basics, from the very bottom of the pyramids, is there a way to jump all of it? Is it really necessary to go through all these levels? Because all these are just levels of suffering, really. For that man who now wants status. And there's a lot of suffering in maintaining status and claiming, and there's a lot of bigotry and hypocrisy and treason to get to
that level.
So from here to there, instantly, is there no possibility at all? And if there is,
there could be. I don't want to say there isn't, or there could be a possibility, but I think it will take someone who's really, because you also have to be honest with yourself when you try and understand how life works. Like you said, it's one thing to say I don't need a mention. It's another when you now have the ability to get that mention, and you're asking that person.
You might say, I don't need a mention because you can't get it. What if you can get it?
This is what you said, you know. So that's what I was saying. You can understand something.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand what you're saying, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it will change my life or it will transform the way I think. I'll hear what you're saying, but it might not hit there. So, and that's one thing that I've also come to realize about life, that, like you said, a lot of people know stuff. You know, it's obvious. It's obvious that you need all these basics to survive. But if it's that obvious, then why is not everyone following it or doing it?
Most people don't do it.
Yeah. So sometimes you can know something, but the full meaning of what that thing is can arrive later in your life. So I can tell you something and you know that, okay, this is what Dumi has said. But the full meaning of that thing, it can arrive later. And most of the time it's because we understand things through our own background, you know, and people take different time to process things. So for you, you might get it instant and say, okay, so this is what this person is saying. But to another person, it might take them years or weeks, and then they look back and they think, this is something that Boss actually mentioned. What would have happened then? I don't know. But we arrive at the meaning of things at different times, you see. So that's why maybe for the guy that you're talking about, he will say after buying the house that he bought, he would say, but why have I done this to achieve what? He could still have arrived at that point even before, you know, buying the place. But because, like I said, certain things take different periods.
No, but you see, the funny thing is I believe he knew that from the very beginning. Still,
the full meaning of it. He might not have had the full meaning of what it is that he was trying to do.
Yeah, but you see, right after he was done with the project, and he of course, there's the pride in it. There's the beauty of the house too, and all.
Yeah.
Once you get used to it a little bit, it's like, but what's the meaning? He didn't stop there. Now he's jumping on another. He never learned from his.
He's jumping on another project now.
Yeah, for something he's camouflaging it. This new project seems to be different from the previous one, but it's not really. I mean, it's the same. It's another. He's put another goal.
Yeah.
So there seems to be something wrong with being here, just staying there.
Yeah. And
both in our psyche and in our daily lives, you know, we need movement.
Yeah, something.
And that's probably because in the psyche itself, there's a lot of movement, a lot of conflict probably happening there.
Why do you think that's why do we think we are not able to be still?
I think there must be a fear. We must be afraid of something. I mean, why?
But what's the worst that can happen if you had to sit still with yourself and think on these things? Why has man become so?
Because I think it's for the same reason the same way you're asking what's the worst that could happen if you sit still and still and quiet down your psyche.
Yeah.
It's probably, you can also ask the same question, what's the worst that can happen if you don't build the house? So there's insecurity there. There's fear of danger, of dying, probably fear of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would say it's the fear of the unknown, of what will happen next.
Yeah, the unknown, that is the death. Because what will happen next is not known.
Mm-hmm.
It's empty there. It's
So in a way, you're saying man then keeps himself busy because he wants to anticipate what tomorrow is going to be like. And therefore feel a sense of peace.
He wants to create.
Yeah.
He wants to create a tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
because there's no tomorrow.
So he creates it today and then throws it into the future. But that's why I'm saying that's where most of the conflicts happen now.
Yeah.
Because in creating tomorrow, there's a lot of things that people do, whether to others, like you said, you look at the wars. It's an attempt to secure, whether it's the countries, to secure the future of that country. Even if you boil it down to, you individuals, it seems most of the conflicts happen in an attempt to secure the future.
An attempt to secure something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You're giving too much importance to something that doesn't exist as opposed to
something that you're already living in the here now. But is there an alternative to that, or that's just how life is supposed to be? Because it's one thing to say men can live this way, and it's another to realize that in this particular environment or in this particular state we find ourselves in, that seems to be the only way that men can live.
Oh, yeah, well, now in retrospect, it seems like so. It seems like we've accepted this way of living throughout generations. But if something is inherently bad, it must cause some commotion. So if you see commotion, you must ask yourself the question, okay, is there something wrong here now? It's one thing we can say, well, men should live this way or that way. But why are you giving direction to how life should be is because you can see there's something not going right.
Yeah.
So, you can't be lazy. You have to find out what's not going right. Put aside all the conflicts of the world, all the complicated stuff. Just you yourself, what's not going right? Why for instance, I would find myself sometimes suddenly having this this sense of anticipation, this sense of, I feel like there's something I haven't solved.
Yeah, that you need to solve.
That uneasiness out of nowhere. But what is it?
You just need to move. You need to find yourself doing something.
Yeah, because I was used to moving so much, right? It was a shock from some sort of quietness, natural quietness that you're used to, and then now you're just adapting and moving too much and seeing a lot of conflict at the same time. So the moment you would sit and be quiet, all these things, all these occupations in your head, now they come in, so they bring some sort of uneasiness. I guess that's what people would call anxiety. But if I wasn't careful enough to, or let me say experienced enough to capture these little fluctuations, I would never probably know what's happening. I would just find myself completely miserable, not knowing what's going on.
Yeah. I was about to also say that for someone that really hasn't developed, as you put it, to filter certain things and to sort of see them for what they are, that's where issues of depression and anxiety kick in.
And these are real issues.
They are real, because now you have this future that you have and you are anticipating tomorrow. And there's so much uncertainty when it comes to that future. And because of that, you suddenly go into this phase of panic or whatever you'd call it. But can one really escape that? How then does someone, come to a point where they go around that and escape that?
I don't think attempting to escape it is a good idea. Seeing the actuality of what's happening is better. Yeah, it's probably the only escape.
Okay.
Seeing the thing as it is, as it's happening. Yeah, I think it's better than seeing it and then you're trying to solve it.
Yeah.
Right? So then you're trying to, that's again the movement, that's conflict, that's internal conflict. But think about it. If the guy is ruling us, that's their daily life. They're psychotic. Every president must be psychotic. Can you imagine receiving daily reports of killings by the dozen, by the hundreds?
And orders also for you to kill.
and you have to order to kill. And then you have to deal with your internal politics. The prime minister, what is he doing? Who's going to take over in the next term? All of that.
Yeah.
And then you have to deal with the population. All that chaos, you're seeing it. Well, if you travel, let's say, to America, you see a different environment. You come back to your home, you see that environment. So that's a crazy man there acting. But he's got all the buttons.
Yeah.
So understand that there's nothing good that can come from that organization. The state's organization. Anything good is just very superficial. It's just to, perhaps, if they're serious enough, allow the normal guys as us to kickstart something.
Yeah.
Whether in entrepreneurship or whatever and so on. Now, put aside that now, then maybe a small portion of those people would kickstart something entirely revolutionary in the sense of it's completely opposite of what is accepted, or what is how life is perceived. Then from there, maybe you start slowly cleaning up the stuff. I mean,
yeah, but that'll be a mountain of a task, because now you are talking of an alternative to what people have given meaning to and value to. You know, because everyone out there knows that what success looks like. You know, you have to be, and most of it is material. You have to have your money, you have to have your, you know, your assets, you have to have all these things.
And that is deeply embedded in all of us.
Yes, you have to have all these things in order. But like I said, once you then realize where the source of that comes from, the need to be secure, I don't know. For me, it seems it's as if man is doomed to go down that path. You always have someone who says, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to get. And as long as that person has personalized the whole movement, they've made it about themselves, it's difficult to stop such a person. You know, so maybe it starts from a point where someone has to realize that regardless of how much pursuit I can make of life, it never gets personal. Because, I mean, what is it that you can put a claim on? Because even the car that you would want, that nice car, you probably want it because, you know, someone introduced you to that car. They set you inside and they said, this is the car. You know, I've had a lot of experiences where people, the first car that they buy is similar to the first car that they got inside. And the guy was driving hyped that car. Said to them, this is the beast, this is the machine. First instance when they get money and they need to buy a car, their mind is always there. So if you think this way about many things in life and you realize that my value in these things, or the meaning that I put in these things, actually came from someone. You know, it's not like something that I was born with. It's not like something that is in me that I need to fulfill. It sort of puts someone in a place where they are then careful at this pursuit. You are not pursuing it like a madman, where you are saying we want oil and we are going to get it regardless if we must kill. So if you think of it that way as a starting point and realize that I came into this world as a blank, and whatever happened, but
probably partially blank.
Yeah, partially. And whatever happened because I picked it up from here. That step back of not personalizing things, that could be a start of thinking different about life.
For sure. But there's I watched there's a little kid, he's 10 years old, from Japan. He's been studying more, butterflies. When they're still in that cocoon, what they call them, moth?
Yeah.
I don't know how they call it. I'm not sure how they call it in English. But he was studying them. He's very passionate about it and was, basically raising them. And then he realized that those butterflies, when they come out of the cocoon, they were... Brendan, what's the term of that? Huh? When they're caterpillars.
The worms.
Oh, the caterpillars, they become the butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So normally during metamorphosis, it was understood that memory is completely erased. So they almost as if reborn completely. But then you realize that when they grew, when they metamorphosed, they would be coming to him unlike any other butterfly there. So he figured that there's something going on. Maybe they remember me. So he went and did a research. He found another lady who was actually who did a bit of that kind of research, but she never really went to the end. So that little kid went on, and it's very interesting. If you watch the video, he would create out of this small box. He would raise the caterpillars, and then he would sample pages and pages of the data that he was recording. Then he discovered that actually, so what he did at tiny little, so he would put a perfume here, and then there's 2 tubes, a perfume and then one that doesn't have a perfume. So now what we would do is we would let the caterpillars go there because there's food. But then every time they would get close, you would electrocute them just a little bit, and then the others would just go and eat normally. But the perfume that he had put there is very
strong.
Yes, strong. It's very nice. It's beautiful. So normally they should be attracted to it. They shouldn't be running away from it. So then you realize that actually when they grew, he would take some random other butterflies, and then he would do the same experiment. He would put, but not with the electrocution thing.
Yeah, just let them through.
Just let them go, and they would split evenly, like 50-50 basically. Either they go to his food or they go there. But then when he brought the ones that he had worked on, 70% would go to where the perfume is not, even though it's very
strong.
Yeah. So they would go over there, and that's a statistically significant number for them to prove that actually there's memory.
They remember what they...
So that little kid actually discovered that, and then you have all these scientists from everywhere that have been struggling with this thing of memory. They came and learn about it. So he's still studying, he's pushing it further. He's really got that passion, and it's actually amazing when you think about it, that some of the best inventions were discovered by just the pure joy of it. It was never monetary. It was never an ambitious thing. It was the moment you involve all these superficial things, they kind of get in the way. But anyway, so now, what that suggests is that memory, just like in the DNA, could be transferred from generation to generation. So the sum of these things, like you were mentioning, that we do, you think really that you're doing them. But they are really doing you. It's the life doing you.
It's part of a continuation that it's not obvious to the everyday person. But look, even your physical features,
it's the same.
It's there. Even the DNA structure, I think they say about 27 chromosomes from your mother. I don't know if it's 27 or 23, but it's half between your mother and your father. So even your physical DNA makeup, you have no ownership there. The only ownership maybe is that these things came together and they produced the you that you call you, but using what at the end of the day? So
let's say your body is not yours.
That's
one thing for sure. Then what is this thing that says me? Because even that itself is it's trying to separate itself from the previous other things that made it. So let's assume, because that's a rational understanding. Anyone can probably understand it. So, maybe not anyone, but unless you have some mental issues, you can probably understand the reasoning behind this, and they can present you the data. All these scientists understand this. If you see that is the case, you should be eager to find out the implications of it, not just on a theoretical level. Then you would
a practical level,
Then you would say, okay, well, then what does this whole thing mean? Then you would find out. You would start normally inquiring into this entity himself, right?
It seems like a path that most people don't really, maybe it's not as exciting as any other thing that they might pursue. Look, if you're to fall sick right now, let's say you have diabetes or something like that, and you go to the doctor, one of the questions they ask you is, has anyone in the family ever had this? Do you have a history of this? So I'm answering your question to say it's so obvious that most of what we then experience, whether it's in the physical body, even mentally, is not really a me thing. It's not. But it's only for someone that has reflected on these things and has realized that even the way I speak, how my body is going to, waste away, most of it will have to do with my family history, where I come from and stuff like that. The language we're using, your mannerisms, all that. Most of it is not as personal as you think. It also, there's this line that it comes from, Maybe thinking of it that way makes you feel like, it'll make you feel as if you're not the big picture in this thing that you thought you were. Yeah.
Obviously, it has to.
But now the good thing is,
the real.
If it makes you think that way, then it makes you also respect the other person. Because there's now nothing special about you.
Well, first it removes all the triviality of it.
Yes.
All the competition of it.
Then what do you have left? Maybe if we go down that road, you will then come to a point where we realize, why is then man scared of stripping himself of all these things that he thinks are his, that he takes personally? What then remains that makes him scared to do that? Because it is so obvious. It's also with your dressing. The way you dress, it's from somewhere. Whether it's the haircut that you have, it's got a name because it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So what happens when man fully comes to a point where he realizes that, I don't even want to give a percentage, but whatever percentage of the stuff that I'm on about.
Probably 100%.
Yeah, the stuff that I worry about, the kind of life that I want. Once he realizes that they are not his, they are not that personal, what remains there?
Should there remain anything at all?
What state
does
the man take?
First, it's not an easy state to be in. Well, first of all, you see that what you call you is not you. It's a movement. It's hundreds and thousands of millions of years, right? Then also the idea you have of them, me, also, so you see it as a movement. I would assume that you see it as a movement. Then I think you would probably either take the route of science and see it as a movement, and then you dive into the quantum physics and the what's not, or you go to the religion and you dive into your Jesus and Allah, or you give up completely. You either kill yourself or become a madman somewhere there or something.
Then let's look at it from the man who then decides if because I think that's where the danger is with this. Once you then come to a point and then you realize that if nothing can be attributed to me, if there's nothing that I can call my own, then what's the use of doing anything at the end of the day?
What's the point of it?
Let's face the danger in that, in saying, look, they call me Dumi, even that name is not mine. I was given by someone who thought it would be,
I used to, sorry to interrupt you, I used to think that, people that are called boss are very few. So I discovered 2 other bosses. And
so you see your name also.
And that's automatically hurts me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I had this idea that it's original.
Original from where?
That I'm different from. So you see, those implicit things that we have in us that sort of... but it hidden. So you see, it takes value. seeing that you are not original, that you are not separate, that you are not special, hurts. You'd like to be separate. You'd like to be what you call an individual. It gives meaning to your life.
So for that man that we are dealing with, it hurts because it removes. What does it remove? A sense of identity.
Sense of identity, sense of drive. What is he gonna pursue?
Yeah.
What for?
And from what source? Where is it? I've also had to struggle with that question to say, okay, you've seen this thing and you've understood to say, okay, even if you're to wake up tomorrow morning and you want to do A, B, C, D, most of it is going to be a borrowed way of doing things because it's coming from somewhere. I think for me, the value that it then brought was to say, and to say I see again is to try and separate this thing, which is not separate. But for me, it was, I'd put it in this sense that the one that's observing this thing, because if I'm able to reflect on it, it means I'm also able to observe as it happens. So when you observe it and you see that, okay, these things that I'm personalizing are not of my own, right? That person in the background or that entity, whatever it is that is observing and seeing those things, it puts you in a position of seeing that and acting on it with that understanding, as opposed to someone else who has not seen it that way but acts on it. Because when you've not seen it that way and you are acting on it as if you were, I don't know how to explain it, but as if this thing that's happening in yourself is just there. In that space, I think life can become too much.
That's very nice.
Because you are thinking this goal that I want to pursue is something born from, and it's so personal that for another person to make you see otherwise is that person coming at longer heads with you. So I'd say for someone then that comes to the point and says, okay, fine, this house that I want to buy is, I probably saw it somewhere, whether it was on Instagram, and now I've personalized it, and I now make it seem as if it's something that I want. To someone who has arrived and they've seen that no, this is the source of me wanting and needing this. I think the only advantage is now you are acting on something that you have full information of where it starts and where it's going. And just to make an example that might seem small, so even in your pursuit for that house, you might come to a point where if it's going to cause conflict, you are able to say, I mean, it's not like this was something that... So it makes you take life with ease because it kills your ego. I think what affects a lot of people is if you don't really dissect your identity to understand it for what it is, it creates that ego of thinking, sorry to use your name, but of thinking I'm the boss. Things must go this way. You understand? And once that ego rises and shows itself to that extent, it sees itself as the only authority without even realizing that whatever it is pushing, it doesn't belong to it. So the man who falls into the trap of saying, let me do that, he might get an advantage of saying, I have the advantage of seeing this thing. And so when I act on it from a point of understanding. Yeah.
Well, that man is definitely more orderly than the other one who's just reacting.
Yes.
There's no second of self-reflection, right? The other one is, there's one who's just suffering. He doesn't even know why he's suffering. He's just suffering. He thinks he's suffering because he hasn't gotten the house or because his child died. You know that you're suffering because of that whole mechanism of yourself, the identity. But still you're suffering.
Or you will suffer if you still personalize it.
Yeah, you might not. You see what's happening there is you have a full understanding, but now there's a battle between the one who's controlling, the controller, and the thing that is controlled. So the controller now is saying, well, look, now I've understood this. In fact, this is just my personality. I've personalized it.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to calm down the suffering a little bit. The mechanism at its core, it's still operating.
Still the same, because there's a controller there, and this thing that you feel needs. Again, so you have to understand this thing in terms of, because obviously we are trying to also explain it to people so that they understand it. So that's the first stage in understanding that, the first one, in understanding that there's this thing that's happening here, and if I can fully understand where it begins, where it ends, how it happens, then I'm better equipped to deal with it.
It's kind of like an addict.
Yes.
I've been talking to some recently. Now it's like an addict knowing that, look, I'm suffering because I'm taking drugs.
Yes. So when you go to those meetings, the first thing you say is, my name is Domi and I'm an alcoholic.
I'm an alcoholic.
It means now you fully see your situation for what it is.
Yeah.
And once you start at that step, you are no longer inside as a victim, but now you are one who has seen your whole addiction and you have accepted it for what it is.
You've identified the problem.
Yes, you've identified the problem.
But
so
you still want the problem. You still want the drug.
Yes, that you can't run out. You haven't cleared. You can't run. But now you understand that when you are partaking in it or when you're experiencing it, you have come to a point where you now see it differently, from a different perspective. But so that's also for the man who is at that level. But if you want to move it up a bit, the man who sees that supposed division or separation suffers from what you're saying, because now you have this and you have here there. But also when you jump up and you realize that this thing that's happening here and this thing that's observing here, who is myself, the controller, these things are still the same thing. It's one thing. And that's another punishment that you must go through to accept that.
Which is far more serious.
Yes, because now, once you get to that part where you realize that this thing I'm calling that happening there and myself here, it's one movement. Then you have to stick there and suffer with that thought.
Yeah.
And then when you sit there and you suffer with that thought, now you have to ask yourself, what are the implications of me finding myself here?
So now that's the problem. People don't look at the implications.
You see, I agree with you. The challenge with implication is that, the mind can take you anywhere. And every human being is aware that if I entertain this thought, I have to be careful. Because the only thing that the mind does is to run with whatever thought that you entertain. And people can always tell that, I must stop here. Let me call pause, because now...
Then why? See, that's when you have to push.
You have to prove, but I'm saying...
that's why now, any serious man, when he gets there, see, fear is like literally the barrier now.
Yeah.
You have to deal with that. You have to push forward.
But we've been taught to be scared of fear.
First, we've been taught, so you see the men at the bottom, we've been taught to solve problems from the very beginning.
Yeah.
From what do you call maternelle, preschool. Right?
Solve problems.
Solve problems. Draw here, don't draw out of the line. Do this, right? Mathematical problems, economics, all of this. Then you go to the business world, how you have to talk to the boss, how you have to talk to the client. We've been taught how to deal with problems. When you find yourself in a moment where there's no problem, you have to find problems.
Because that's what you're taught.
That's what you're taught, to solve problems. So therefore you anticipate a problem, you create one.
Even if it's not there, you say there might be one 20 years from now.
Exactly. So that's the movement we've been taught. So,
that's the movement on the surface, on the superficial level.
That's the movement on the superficial level. I mean,
for the man who hasn't really thought out on these things,
he doesn't know that he's always looking for problems.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, the man who realizes that, look, I'm in a quiet place, I'm in a beautiful place, I know there's chaos over there. Yes,
yeah,
fine.
but I'm here.
Yeah. Right?
That is the
Why
moment.
am I feeling this uneasiness? So that is the man who sees not the suffering of looking for problems, that his identity is that.
Okay.
Create and solve problems. That's what he is, that constant movement, that sort of conflicting movement in himself. Right? So that's another suffering. You've seen the mechanism of your own being, which you call you. Right? Those memories are you. Right? It's not that you're anticipating something to happen. As it is happening within yourself, that is you. That is the mechanism. Seems to be you have the incapacity, or you're unable to stay quiet at any given moment in life. In fact, the very second you try to do that, that's the movement. That's the start.
You've already, yeah.
So, I mean, that's a man who now sees that not only does he not exist.
Apart from those things.
Yeah. What I've been running around calling balls.
Does he not exist, or he thinks he doesn't exist?
Well,
because this man who is obviously sitting with his thoughts. With all these things, he's sitting.
At first, he used to think that he's not his thought, that there's an entity who's doing the thinking, who's remembering that, who's anticipating. But then he moves up a little bit. He sees that that's what he is. The thinking is him. There's no thinker who's looking at the thoughts, or who is thinking this.
It's all.
That's one thing, but it's a system. So he's stuck with the system. No matter what it does, that's his existence. You take away the system, then he's no longer there. So his existence is, yes, that's movement, but then he sees the superficiality of it, the triviality of it, that first of all, he's inherited this from years and years, that he's picking up this thought and that thought, that even his body is not really...
Yeah, it's not really, yeah.
It seems to be that movement. It's a single movement. And there's no controller in it. There's no controller in it.
So let's sit with that man now. What are the likely outcomes that he may reach out of that? Fine, for all the things you've mentioned, he has come to that point. He realizes that this is, I think this way because of this. I do this because of that. He has come to fully accept that. Just like we said in the beginning, that this is the man that has seen this thing, just like a man who has seen that I'm an addict. I love my alcohol and I need help, but he still wants the alcohol. So because I feel if we use a real life example, it becomes more relatable. He's sitting there, he's in a meeting, this person is an addict, he's accepted, meaning he has fully seen this thing. It's there in front of him and he's seen it for what it is, right? The outcome is, if you are able to see something fully for what it is, and you are able to see that this thing is not good for me, only a madman then takes that path.
Yeah, madman in our definitions.
That's one. Or only a man who has not fully seen that thing for what it is. I mean, if I was to tell you that if we were to stop doing what we are doing now and you walk out of that door, you start creating a life in which 7 hours from now you'll be dead and you don't want to die, would you still take that step?
No.
Yeah. So then that's my point, that a person that fully sees something for what it is, and they come to a conclusion and say, this cannot be good for me, they are likely to take a better step towards it. Now, bringing back to what we are talking about, now here's a man who has fully seen that this movement, this whole thing that is happening where I'm separating myself from you and I think I'm here, when all these things seems to be one movement. What is the outcome that can come from there that is good from him?
Well, first of all, I think Is he accepting it, or he sees it?
He sees it for what it is. Yeah. Accepting is one thing, because if there's nothing you can do about it, you might as well accept it if you have seen it for what it is. Mm-hmm. But this is a man who has said, listen, I realize that my thoughts, my passions, my desire, all these things that I pursue, except for the basic ones, because even if you didn't think a lot, if you don't think much and you sit there, you are going to get hungry. Mm-hmm. You don't need thought for that. Mm-hmm. But there are then these other things that don't spring up from the basic need of men. Mm. And these are the things that we are discussing now, to say when men really comes to a point where he sees that these are not my innate basic needs that I need as a human being. These are the things that they seem to occupy so much of my life that people don't kill each other just for food. Yeah. You know this. They kill each other for these superficial.
We've never killed each other for resources. Yeah.
So I'm saying when men then comes to that point and he sees it fully for what he is, this is the kind of man that I'm saying, let's deal with it. Because it's so obvious, but no one wants to really go through that and sort of explore what could come from there. And like I said, for me, it has come to a point where I realize that in pursuit of whatever it is that I pursue, it's to learn to not take things so personal. Because the dream is mine, but it's not mine. Mm-hmm. If it comes through, it has come through. Yeah. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Yes, there'll be disappointment along the way. There'll be certain situations where I feel like maybe you should have pushed more, but I'm more kinder to myself, to put it that way, because I now understand that I cannot have this at a cost of your life, or at a cost where I now have to, use you. And do you get what I'm saying? Which is the very source of suffering, that we have people who, in pursuit of these things, they don't mind overlooking these other things as long as it puts them ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, I think for that man, well, first of all, I think you have to find a way to live, to adapt, to survive.
Yeah.
If you have some skills, you probably use them to survive and all of that. Mm-hmm. But mostly, his relationship with others is very hypocritical. Mm-hmm. I mean, he allows himself to come back to the guy struggling with, to the level of the guy struggling with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And without his control, he inevitably comes back to that other understanding, which is his true identity now, which he knows. He knows every other thing is just some sort of a show. So it's a very hypocritical life. Unnecessary.
But now, where I beg to differ, because he thinks this way, it doesn't set him apart. It only sets him apart for a man who's still at a certain level where he still thinks this that's happening there.
Yeah, but you see, every time you do any action, you have to pretend as if you're apart.
Yes, that's how it works.
So that's why I'm saying pretend.
But the man that stands back understands that it works that way so I can experience it.
No. See, even if he really sits down, he would even understand that his reasoning, any sort of reasoning he can come up with, is still the result of that.
Yes.
So normally when he gets to that level, when he really takes a step back, he's dealing with death really. Mm-hmm. He's no longer there as we call ourselves, this identity, all these layers.
Yeah.
He seems to be on another layer. Mm-hmm. He comes back here with some residue, but he really, deep down, that's why he was always going back, but he's really back there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm calling it pretending, the hypocrisy of it.
Well, once he partakes in that, but you see, when he's on his own and he's reflecting on those things, not necessarily on the contents of what he's reflecting on the substance of it, but I'm saying on the this that is doing
on his movement.
Yes. Yeah. Well, maybe for a lack of a better word, I would say the vessel or the transmission in which all this
I don't know. The vessel is
becomes
too serious.
Too serious. Or think of how Wi-Fi works.
Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's it's a transmission that happens there for information and everything and stuff. But Wi-Fi alone on its own, it's almost nothing. It just has this capacity of transmitting information and doing that. So when I say when I speak of this person and say I'm speaking of the one who is observing, or the one who all these things are happening through. What form that person takes is something that's obviously, open to, but we can't deny that there seems to be something that is observing all this thing happening.
There seems to be something that is observing, but that isn't separate from that which is observing.
So once you
see, our difficulty is that we have a ceiling, and the ceiling is the division. Anything besides division, we are not there. But there seems to be that, right? That action happening, that is undivisible, that in time, in space, all of
whether it's thinking,
probably that man has come in touch with it one way or another. Although he probably realizes through thoughts, through logic, through reasoning and all of that, So his life would probably be more, I guess, orderly, Like I said, if you need to kill 10,000 people to build a house, maybe you leave it a little bit. Or not because that is the right thing to do, because you don't want to get yourself involved in too much thinking. Because it's too illusory. The more illusory you get in, the harder it is to get out of it. So it's not that you're doing it because of morals. You're doing it because it's like you're seeing a pit hole there. You just can't go there, right? It's nothing. It's not the 10 Commandments or something. It's just the right thing to do. So truth is in front of you, so therefore you act upon it. So I would think the man would be very orderly and very hypocritical in that sense. As in, he's playing really along. But from moment to moment, there's those little dying moments, I guess. Right? So this then now becomes his only tool here to walk here.
Yes.
This is nothing else but a tool. And he sees everything else as tools of manifestation, I guess.
Well, I'd also say maybe tools of experiencing this.
Tools of being.
Yeah, tools of being. I think also we have to understand that man living the way he lives or experiencing life as he does could be exactly the way he's supposed to be.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what life is supposed to be like.
There's no extreme good, extreme bad. You can play along with it.
But now the point is, what's his attitude when he goes through that? You can go through it blindly. By blindly, I mean...
The attitude when he goes through what?
This being.
This, yeah.
Yeah. You can go through it where you are all in, everything is, you're just fascinated, you're taking it as it is. Or you can also be this person that we're talking about where you are observing.
I don't think so.
But...
it becomes impossible.
No. By observing, it's not totally taking that point of observing.
No, you see, there you would be... let's use example of a drunkard.
I was about to call it that.
You wouldn't be the drunkard. You would be the drunkard who knows that his issue is
but you can be
alcohol.
You can be that drunkard who has seen that I have an addiction which I need to sort out. And he takes the path to sort it out because now he understands that this thing is
I would say
affecting me.
You're the serious drunkard, not the one who hasn't even gone to a rehab.
Yes, so you can go through life as a drunkard who thinks, I just love my alcohol. I'm not sure why you guys are calling it an addiction. And they are telling me that it probably comes from the way I was brought up, but I'm not interested in that. So you can go through life as that person.
As the one saying he doesn't care. He
does not even want to rise above understanding why he behaves the way he behaves.
After touching that depth.
No. I'm separating them. So you can be that person, or you can be with this one, because this one has already seen that this is what addiction is, and they get there and then they try and get out of it, and they can even succeed.
Yeah. So you're saying you can, from that, you can be both of them. You can be either one or the other.
Either one.
I don't think, maybe you're
right.
Because
if I manage to break my addiction, that doesn't mean I can't go back and sit with the other addicts. I can still partake in their everyday experience.
Yeah, but what would you be doing if you know the harm that it has caused to you, all the hardship that it created in your life? As you're sitting with the drunkard, what would you be doing to them? What would be your action in the face of that?
Well, obviously the first one will be to try and show them, but you can't always convince. Like I said, someone might see that, oh, you're once like this, but now you're like they might. But the full meaning of what it takes to get there might not, arrive at that moment. Because the idea is not...
But wouldn't you be looking at them as an open book? As in,
it's inevitable. Yeah. It's inevitable. I wouldn't say it will come from a point of being a hypocrite, because at the end of the day, it's not like once you arrive at a certain point in your life, then you should be able to influence the other person as to how they should behave. But you, at that point, depending on how you think, well, like someone else, it might make them have a big head and be like, I beat that and these people are still struggling in it. And for someone else, it might look at them and feel like, I wish there was a way I could help these people and show them that there's another better way where they can understand why they are doing the things that they are doing. But it's still the whole movement that you're talking about. It's not like now you've become this special person. No.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hierarchy. We are all on the same level.
It has just made you approach life in a different way. And like you said from the beginning of this conversation, that how that becomes an advantage is because it puts to sleep so many things that people worry about. Do you understand? Which you might not otherwise see. Because like I said, the one who has an addiction is struggling. He doesn't see that he's struggling because he doesn't understand where it's coming from. But his consumption of alcohol is not a normal consumption.
He thinks he can stop anytime.
Yes, he thinks he can stop, but when he tries to stop, he can't stop. And he doesn't even want to go down that road where he finds out why things are the way they are. He lives that way.
He prefers the suffering that comes from the consumption of alcohol than the suffering of not taking.
Which he does not know. Then you have this one who has gone through it, right? And he sees this suffering. But we can't deny that this one who has gone through it, managed to come out of it and is no longer an addict. Somehow he has escaped a certain kind of suffering. Because with addiction comes a lot of suffering that otherwise that person does not see while they are in it.
No, and plus they think it's my life, but they're destroying everyone's
life. You see. So it's the same thing with this thing, that once you then see it, for the next person who's struggling with so much, once you start to make them see, look, there's so much that is at play in life, and not everything is circling around you, because that's where most problems start. Now you're thinking, why is this happening to me? You start personalizing things. Last year, this is what happened to me. This year, this is what happened to me. Things happen to me. It is that me that will eventually lead you to a state where you are suffering so much. And this is not to say this is a way of escaping. It's just a way of seeing things and say, okay, I desire this, I need that, but I understand where it's coming from. And then that suffering gets reduced. Yeah.
There's an understanding of the origin of suffering, but you're still suffering.
You are still suffering. You can't. Unfortunately, it's part of the experience while we are here. That
as long as there's a thinker, you must suffer.
You must suffer, yeah.
So then, okay, let's leave the drunkard alone. But the guy who's somewhat, okay, now he sees who he is, why he's suffering. There must be some implications in it. Then he would ask some very heavy questions. Like, then is life suffering? Is there a way of living without all these shenanigans? Or he would then ask, well, then what's the meaning of this whole thing then? Those questions are inevitable. I mean, he's serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the one who's pushed it, shoved it off there and says, well, there's an afterlife. Or
I think he's also going through a kind of suffering of his own. That man.
Yeah.
He is.
So then okay, he's living with you guys. Maybe he's not an alcoholic anymore.
Yeah.
That's not killing him, but there's something else killing him too.
Yeah.
Might look fine on the surface, but really down, there's something burning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so then why? If this is it, if there's no escape from it, and I have no control in it, why is it there?
The suffering.
Yeah, why is the suffering there?
I think it will be a different kind of suffering. Why I'm saying that?
I should think it's worse even.
No, maybe it's worse to the. Okay, let me try and see. It might be worse to the person that's going through it, but at least this time your suffering doesn't so much affect a lot of the people around you.
Yeah, well, their suffering is your suffering.
Yeah.
There's no drunkard suffering or a man thinking about himself suffering.
But the difference now is when the movement that comes from that realization no longer directly impacts on someone the same way it would, for example, if you're saying I'm suffering and I need to get a car and I go out there and I rob someone.
No, I think
so you see that on his directly. Yeah. So I'm saying that suffering is more of a personal kind of suffering, to put it that way.
It's a personal.
Yeah. And at that level, I'm saying at least you are not bringing a lot of people into your suffering part, and whatever answers you might come up with, I don't see them as so much as affecting the next person as they would if you were there. Because now you're saying I can see through the smoke and mirror, and I understand that it will be so superficial of me to say, what, this is what I want, and if it costs me killing someone, then I'll do it. You move away from that. So you've not only saved yourself from a certain kind of suffering, but you've also saved the next person.
I should think that is the ideal citizen. Yeah. If all citizens were like that, probably would have much less conflict.
True.
There wouldn't be classes, there wouldn't be privileges, there wouldn't be, there would be, I think things would move in tandem. And that's a possibility. We mustn't just look at the way things are and say, well, it is like, no, it's free enough to change.
Yeah.
To be changed and to be put in some other order. So I think it's valuable in this sense to encourage people to do that sort of personal homework.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's what we're trying to do here as we share with others.
Yeah.
But that seems like a very small affair to the man who's already gotten there. I mean, it's a small affair.
It does. It sitting here, it does look like a small affair. But once you're out there, because there's so much that happens that feeds this whole movement. And sometimes you don't even see it, but you go out there are billboards. Those billboards are not there to meet your basic needs. There are billboards promoting these superficial things. You have a billboard for the latest car, you have a billboard for the latest phone, you have a billboard for the latest trending clothing, your phone's notifications. So they are constantly feeding you and trying to create this identity which you eventually personalize and call it your own. So it's also important to realize that yes, you can talk about it and see it, but you also have to be aware of what it is that feeds into this. Because you have to also be practical about it. It's one thing but you also have to be practical to see, because for the normal person out there, he's going to hear what you are saying and be like, no, it makes sense. But it gets out there, and the first interaction with whatever is out there is telling him that this needs you and this will form part of your identity. And once you're like this is what's going to happen. It builds a whole picture for you and a whole life for you. And then you begin your suffering in pursuit of that life. You know.
So are we trying to counter that?
I wouldn't say cancel. I think for me, I'd feel satisfied if I can show this to someone and their next action or their next movement is with an understanding. You can still be part of it, but now when you have, when you now do something at a background of a full understanding, I don't think you suffer that much.
Yeah.
I suffer if you had to say to me, hey, listen to me, I have a situation here, can you borrow me 5,000? And I say, okay, fine, and I give you that money, but with the understanding that you pay me at a date that you said you pay me, and you don't. Then the suffering starts now. You see, why it starts is because now there is that extra layer of uncertainty of the unknown, what's going to happen if it doesn't. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But if I give you that money and I'm fully aware of what's going to happen, there's no suffering there. And I fully understand it. There's no suffering. So it's only when you've stumbled on that awareness, but the kind of awareness that sort of frees you. And the freeing part, like I said, is not you stepping out, because you can't do that. It's you understanding that while I'm in it and while I'm experiencing it, I at least have a certain understanding of why I do things the way I do them, why I behave the way I behave. That sort of lessens it. It won't totally erase it, but it's going to lessen it.
So let's say we push this AI to the max, right? Does all our house calls and our job and all of it, and we have some sort of universal salary, universal grant. What will man do with himself?
If AI takes over everything.
If we manage to organize AI in a good manner, not this cyborg thing we're seeing the apocalypse, but just orderly.
I think it'll give men the capacity to be what he was, as a believer, what he was meant to be.
Which is what? Look at how it is. Okay, you have time now, because now you're looking for problems because you don't want to have time for yourself.
Yeah, free time.
Yeah. That's why you're keeping busy with problems.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have AI that takes care of all of your little problems, practical problems. You will eat. You'll have enough money to pay your basic things. And perhaps, just the same way kings back in the days used to live maybe in the same house that any guy in some village would live in, for instance. Maybe now everyone would have a decent living, right? What will men do if it's time now?
I think that's where the question you're answering, you're asking it in the wrong way. Why does he have to be doing something? Because I think that's where
but that's the problem.
Yeah, that's where the problem is, that you feel that men should be doing something.
Well, because life demands action.
Yeah, but the action that it demands also springs up from what the man needs.
Yeah, but the whole create wants.
Yes, but now you've created this environment where you have channeled AI to do some of those things that would have otherwise been done by people before. So your question now is, once that is out of the way, what then does men do? And I'm saying that question is the one that leads men in trouble, where he feels like he has to be doing something.
But that is the case. We feel like we have to be doing something.
I don't think at that point doing will be something that's more important. Like you say, when you feel at peace, you don't do peace.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you come just seconds after you say, I have to maintain this peace.
If you let your thoughts run wild, yes. But I'm saying a man who says, now I feel peace. While he's feeling,
now you feel peace, you've abandoned that peace.
Yes. While he's feeling that, he's not doing anything to...
Yeah. Before he recognizes peace, he was just peaceful. Yeah. He wasn't doing anything about it.
So even a man that says, now I'm happy, at that point, he's not doing anything to validate that he's happy. Yeah. It has already passed, he's experienced it. And he experienced it as I don't know if I can call it a feeling or a state of being.
Yeah.
But it's not something that he must do at that moment that will go hand in hand with him being happy. Yeah. So why I'm saying this is because even to be at peace, there are certain things that obviously you might have to do to say, I've arrived at peace. But the very state of being at peace does not involve you doing anything.
Mm-hmm. But that's what you are. You are movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that state, when you're now experiencing it, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't have to be doing something so that I can still own the peace that I'm feeling. And I'm trying to point out to the fact that men seems to struggle with so much to achieve an inner state within himself, so as to put it. You want to go out there and get so much so you can feel secure. And
because he's insecure in it.
The state,
bonds.
Yes, is insecure in his bonds. But there is no one state.
Tell me, what is man insecure about?
His future. I think insecurity most of the time springs up from the future, a projection of the future to say, I do not know.
Okay, so man is insecure of what? Of when you say future, man wants
his
to know.
Projection of this movement ahead into the future.
Which is what? Knowledge.
Yeah, he uses his knowledge to project what tomorrow might be like or what it might not be like.
Yeah, because he knows what tomorrow is. He knows what being is, what movement is, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like man who is knowledge himself, who is thinking, is projecting something forward because there's nothing forward.
Yeah, he has to do that to feel a sense of continuity.
The sense of so man ultimately is insecure because he's afraid of death.
Yes.
Right? So
but that's not the definition that a normal person would arrive to. Normal everyday person, I mean, is secure because I need to secure my life.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I don't want to wake up and I find myself in an ABCD
and it's so situation. Clever that he's delegated all that. You see what he did? He figured, look, death is inevitable. It will come. It's too much. I can't deal with it. Yeah. Let me just put a thing that it will happen and then something else. In fact, he doesn't even acknowledge that it will happen. He says something else will happen after death, which is a continuation. So that isn't death, right? Then that is the real concern. And then he changes it into my next car, my next child, my next book, all of that, my relationship with people, all of it. But that's essentially, it's that projection, that inability to face something that doesn't exist, inability to be in there.
Yeah.
So you give him any AI for help, right? He still, as he's sitting, will not be able to. If he cannot face that now, he won't face it with the help of AI. In fact, he will use AI to keep himself busy. He he will probably plug himself into something to be everlastingly distracted, everlastingly entertained. He will probably mix some drugs to constantly excite himself, and so much so that his reality will be an illusion, because we'll be plugged in from everyone.
Yeah,
now I sound like I'm talking about the Matrix, but this really is that. So my concern is not so much what will happen in the future. I'm saying that is what's happening now. Take the AI, use it differently, maybe plug ourselves into something, and then we are disconnected from reality. It's already what is happening now. Yeah, we think it will happen. It could happen in the future.
But it's already happening.
The disconnect is this. So what we're talking about is the disconnection. I mean, we can use the logic, say, okay, you can do this. If you're an addict, you can do this and that. You have to get to a place where you self-reflect and, you use your science, you explain DNA, you use all of this. But essentially, we're just trying to say that, look, there's something happening now that we are not seeing clearly, entirely. So I think that should be the concern of that man we're talking about, the one who's gotten away from the triviality of it.
Yeah.
He would see that, look, I'm stuck, but there's something happening.
Yes.
There's a certain urgency to it.
Yes. Yes. And so when you put it that way, it becomes then clearer, because for that man, that agent and that thing that he perceives to be happening takes so much of his time now. He's more interested in it, even though it's still a different version from what this other person is experiencing. Because also what we need to be clear about is that a man as he is built for survival. And survival calls that there should be movement. Because if you just sit still and there's nothing, then without that movement, life doesn't operate that way. So the whole thing is a movement. And if you look around you, you see everything.
The whole thing.
Everything is just moving. Even you look at this thing under a microscope, you see it's...
life is everywhere. I mean, you have germs. You have so much germs. I mean, it looks clean. Brennan probably cleaned it up a little bit. There's a lot of germs,
So there's always that movement. There's always that. So life already shows you that nothing is still in this life. There's nothing that's just... And once you then see that, you then come to a point where you realize that even for the man who thinks he has arrived at a certain point, there's still another...
He's still dealing with the same fundamental...
still dealing with the same fundamental, just at a different level.
Could be slower, but it's...
Yes. But the suffering also that comes with that is still there. But at least, like I said, it's not the kind of suffering that you are not even able to reflect on or understand it in some sort of way. And it's also the kind of understanding that comes with a bit of reduction on the suffering that we're talking about, where now you feel, I understand why this thing is coming from. But overall, I think it's also important to understand that how the movement is, at least from the way I see it, how the whole movement functions is that because everything is one, the separation is where things start to get a bit wrong, where you feel like you're being, you're separating yourself from all this. But when you see all the pieces that they're supposed to be there, this whole thing is supposed to happen that way. I think that should be, a starting point in understanding human suffering and what can be done about it from that perspective.
I don't know which law is it. Is it what? The third law of thermodynamics or something? I'm not sure if it's the third. That from order, disorder must happen. So things start in a very, very orderly. Even the universe itself starts in a very, very orderly way. And then from there, disorder. So what we're seeing here is like the how do you call it? The manifestation of disorder. Same way as in if you open your water, you pull it. Time is so that it can't come backward. So it moves from there. So I guess what we're trying to say here is okay, from order there was disorder, and now we're trying to bring back the whole thing. But we understand it's a movement. It's a constant movement of folding and folding. And
for me, now that you mean, I think any microscopic view of something almost feels like disorder. If you look at it from a macros, whether it's water, you see all these molecules, and it's very, at that point, it's very difficult for you to even see what you are looking at. But when you're looking at water and you can see it's there, you know that is water. And there's a certain order or certain behavior of water that's associated with it. But once you take that and put it under a microscope and try and, make sense of it, I'm saying it seems like disorder. But even then, there is order.
Yeah, there is order. Yeah. I think order is everywhere. But you see, what we're saying is, the man who's looking at water through the microscope, his only mistake is that he's looking at water, so he's excluded himself from the entirety of the observation. Right? Yeah. So that is and he can't do anything about it. I guess what you're trying to say is, if you look from outside, there's meaning from a macroscopic way of looking. From the macro, there seems to be meaning. You can see, okay, this is the beginning and the end. Yeah. Then this is happening in the middle. But from inside there, you have no idea what's happening. It seems like you're just being pushed around. Yeah. So, ideally speaking, an orderly man should be able, from the disorder, but he knows the way back. He's constantly playing
he's able movement.
Which means he's playing a completely different game. But that's why I'm calling it a hypocritical game.
What is he supposed to do about
There's
it?
Nothing
what else
he can't do anything about it.
He can't. And you could call him that if he was deliberately...
Maybe I'm being harsh, but it's really... There's no other word to describe that. It's a hypocritical approach to... Well, first of all, that what you're talking about, it's not theoretical. So talking about it is good, maybe for entertainment purposes and to help someone sort of get kickstart. But the actuality of what you're talking about cannot be experienced by two individuals at the same time, because there's no two to experience it.
It's one.
It's only one system that sees the thing. Which means what? You are stuck in hell, really, here.
You are in between. You move from the...
As long as you are here, you are stuck in hell. What you do is you can bring some fire some water and calm some fire here and there, and have those little bit of paradise where people can ascend from there. But the majority of people don't see this as hell. This is... In fact, they want to stay here forever. That's why they call it eternity.
Which man would you rather be there in this whole movement?
I think now, if you ask me, I would never be the man stuck in hell. I would rather know that I'm stuck in hell than just walk around thinking there's another thing coming.
Yeah.
Because it saves me a lot of energy. It's like knowing we're stuck in this room. Would you really like to spend the rest of your life fighting with this door? Or if you know, then you just sit.
Yeah. Perhaps if you know there's no way of opening.
All that energy, you could use it to learn how to do. You ask Brendan, for instance, how do you record? So you can use that energy to shape your prison. Not to try and out.
Yeah. So for the man that understands it, then it brings the relief we're talking about. It brings
relief and a lot of energy.
Because sometimes I try and I look at my friends or the people that I spend much of my time with, and you can see that people are dealing with a lot. you know, and it's not a lot because it's unique to them. All of us are dealing with issues. And I always get the sense that it's the attitude that you have towards what you are going through that eventually decides if you are in a dark place or in a better place or you come out of that thing. It's all in how you understand that thing, like what you said, that I see this thing, and for me to have direction as to what to do, I have to understand it, understand what's before me. And unless you do understand, you are forever caught in a web of suffering. And it's a tragedy to see people going through that and knowing that all it takes is for them to see things differently. I mean, you have someone that works 24/7. How does one to ask, why are you working so hard? You know? And for the person out there, it almost seems like an obvious question. What do you mean? Why am I working so hard?
I'm a hard worker.
But if you push them about that life, okay, and then once you get that, and then what? And it goes back to what you're saying, that someone who has sat down and thought, you'd see that because you are built for survival, there is not going to come a time when you're going to be still. Your new high is your new low.
Exactly.
Because now you're familiar with it. If you aim high and you hit, that becomes your new low. Now you've given yourself your task of hitting another high. Which, once you get it, it becomes your new low again.
I think people mustn't misunderstand us here. We're not saying people mustn't pursue things.
No.
Right? Yeah. I think we must be very careful. Yeah. We're not advocating for laziness or no ambition per se. But we're saying, depending on the kind of drive or motive you have a completely different energy, and that energy can either be harmful or
yes,
good.
It will come from a certain understanding.
Yeah. We have different priorities and all of that. So, and it seems like the energy that comes from conflict, right? Similarly to when you take two rocks and hit them, there's fire that can come, a certain energy that comes out of it.
Yeah.
It seems it's destructive. You have to lose something. You know, the same way the rock would break a little bit for it to produce that. It seems it's destructive, and eventually you just, you end up with nothing. The other seems creative. As in, out of nothing, something comes. Not use what is here and then deplete it, and then you've got nothing. But on the contrary, out of nothing, really creating the entirety of the thing.
Yeah. Because the idea is to say, look, if you are going to pursue something with understanding, and that understanding comes from a place where you are fully aware of what needs to be done, you take a whole different kind of movement when you're doing that thing. I'll give you an example. You have someone who's working 24/7. And again, I'm using these examples. You're working 24/7, but you're doing it for your family. Can you see where the contradiction is? You're working 24/7 for your family, but you're not spending time with them. Someone might say...
you become angry when they don't show the...
Yeah, when they grow up and you were never around. And you're trying to explain that, no, I was... You understand? So, I think it calls for a balanced approach to life, but also with an understanding as to why we do the things we do. Because you grow up as that person who's working 24/7, your child is now a teenager, and then they're saying to you during your heated argument that you're never around. But little do they know that you're never around because
you wanted them to be.
You not being around now, does it become a success or a failure?
Oh, it's a failure.
Yeah, so you see, if you do it with that balance, because now like what you said, you've projected your fears into the future, your knowledge into the future, and you think that is what is expected of you. But when you do it without understanding, it comes back to sort of.
And I think we do most of our things with no understanding. I think the whole society is shaped wrongly. We still maybe at a very primitive way of doing things. I don't know if it will get better, but I know it can get better. Because we give things that first, the mechanism of thoughts, we never gave it importance. We gave importance to thought itself, as in, because thought is nothing but memory. Besides, we really think that it's something aside, as an entity, an independent system that's direct. We don't see it as nothing but memory. So already the foundation is very bad, because there's no other tool that we use besides thought. So therefore, this is nothing but the reflection of thought. Really.
Of thought, yeah.
Therefore, it has its limits and it has its contradiction and its problems. But given enough space, given enough, the balance we're talking about, I guess, would be the space in between these thoughts. Then would completely change this whole.
Because out there, there's no space for that. Like I said, out there, you are flooded with things that feed into you thinking the way you're thinking. I mean, like I said, as you're driving, at what point would you have time to self-reflect? There's a billboard there, there are signs on the road. They are feeding into that. And that becomes what exactly you're referring to. It becomes your thought. And your thought is not there. It's a collection of all these things that then produce the thought that you... So when you are constantly being fed all these things... And
you go to the shop, you think you're the one decided to go to the shop. No, that's not the case.
It's a lot of things that comes into play. And if men can then realize that most of my behavior is, well, not controlled.
It's second hand.
Yes, and there are so many... And I think that's why advertising is so popular, you know, social media and
they
all
use
that.
A lot of subsidy.
Yeah, because they've noticed that a lot of people almost think the same. So if you can have information where you are able to tell where the public will sway or would go, that gives you power, because now you have influence, because you know, based on the thoughts of these people, what they're likely to like or not like and all that. And if you can get that, you can weaponize it. And the people that understand it from the point that this is where we have people thinking now. And they're thinking as a collective. They're thinking that way, because unknown to them is that their thoughts are not so much as personal. It's just these things that have been, you know, fed into them and stuff like that. And
they're also victims of it. Even the ones doing it.
Yeah.
They might try to be a little bit careful, but I mean, we're in the same boat as far as this situation is happening. So, which means there's freedom to correct anything that is happening here on a practical level.
Yeah.
We come back on a practical level. If we trigger an action that is not the usual action of men, things would change not only from the personal, but also the societal. Society itself will change. I guess that's what we're trying to do here, to aim. Because, for instance, think of the energy. I came back here and I look at, left the disorder there, came here and found another disorder. I saw these guys burning the cars, this xenophobia that sort of started again.
Yeah.
Think of where it comes from. It comes literally from the identity. I am me, you are you.
Yeah.
We are us, you are them. So, I mean, a guy like that is so stupid. He doesn't even have the time to go in the... You would never ask him to find out what thought is. Or what's memory. Say, hey, Baba, for sake, go back home.
He doesn't even want to... I think also, you know, to think of these things with the way society works, it almost feels like a luxury to give yourself time
Too much luxury.
But it's not. It seems like it, but it's not, because life has made it seem as if there are more important things that you'd rather be doing than doing that. And also because the results of doing that will probably put you, in a group that is not very popular out there, because no one is going to be thinking the way you think or seeing things the way you see them, But going back on the xenophobia thing, you then realize that you are harming someone who has the same needs as you. Practically, you are harming someone who has the same needs as you. This person has a need to be secure, the ones that we listed. But you are looking at that person and you are seeing something totally different from you. Why is that?
Because he thinks he has a feeling of being that he thinks is different from the feeling of being of the other.
That's exactly what I'm saying. But that is given to a man who hasn't even given himself, time to see the...
Yeah. Because it's the right job to do. I mean, that's what they teach you. They teach you how to be nationalistic. They teach you how to be tribal. I don't know, here in South Africa, if you guys used to sing the national anthem in primary school.
Yeah.
They teach you national anthems and they tell you as protect.
So you're saying the problem begins from how we are taught.
Yeah. The problem didn't start now. It's this movement from the very beginning was, at some point, it took a wrong turn. And it's just going downhill. It's really going downhill unless something else is done. There must be some fresh air in it to change the course. But that's really what's happening. I mean, look at Ukrainian and Russians.
Those are the same brothers. People. Yeah.
Literally brothers. But you see the videos when they're killing each other.
It's like they're
total... Why did you come to my homeland as stabbing the other person? And they're speaking the same language as the same person.
While they're killing each other. Yeah.
You look at North Korea and South Korea. And you look at yesterday they met. For the first time, they broke the protocol of one stepping the foot into the territory. So they did that bit of exchange. I mean, something so trivial, something so simple as that. First, the line doesn't even exist.
So you point that out to how we are brought up to separate ourselves from...
Yeah. So our guides, which is the parent, not only they feed us the bad information from the memories and the genes and through survival, then also they are the first people to guide us through. They tell you are you.
It's now me against them.
Yeah. They tell you are different. You're different, you are special, you are you. Then they like this child better than the other, so it emphasizes also that thing of me, why them. Then there's the obvious, the colors, the height, the different sex and all of that. So all of that creates what you call me, your identity. And that thing can only do that. It can only do what it is.
Yeah. And when you put it that way, it makes me ask myself this question. Have you noticed that the most influential of people that, become these big figures, whether it's historical or whatever you want to name it, have you noticed that it's always been people that have been able to bring people together? As opposed to that one who wanted to, establish his own little group there. And I'd like to look at that and see exactly why it is that way. If you think whether it's religious figures, they've always, amongst a group of people, even politicians, ones that should really, that are prominent, have always been people that bring people together.
Because I think we have a natural tendency to go back to the actuality of this whole movement, which is one.
We know that things
That's
work.
how things should be. We know, I think, I don't know, but like we're saying, the man who's sort of investigated a little bit, he knows that there's something happening which is not quite this. The actual thing is really happening. It's not quite this. That's why he has a bit of suffering in there. So I think everyone probably should have that. That's, there's a lot of abstractions. There's a lot of ideas that don't necessarily match the reality. So when someone else comes and tries to gather people together with...
Make them see.
Yeah, it makes... The unfortunate thing is he does that by saying we. So,
and already puts others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's an entirely different approach. Say you first. What are you or me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't look at me. Look at yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? What are you really? Well, someone will say, well, my name, I'm Dumi. What are you talking about? Well, no. Right. And then he goes, I grew up this. And like, okay, but what are you saying? What is it that is saying? So
but this is well, maybe when you go to university level there and you're doing your philosophy, it's the kind of things that you eventually learn. I also think from a young age, it's things that people should be taught.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying that is, people out there struggle. If there's one thing that people struggle with is identity. And most of the conflicts just spring up from there. You said this, I am this. I'm Zulu, you are Venda. It's an issue of identity. And
even in a discussion like this, we're exchanging our
identity.
Your ideas are shaping me.
Yes. And so identity becomes something very important throughout our life here. Yet, in our education, it seems to be something that does not occupy much of our studies, to say this is what's going to shape who you are. And you learn that from a young age. And not only do you learn that from you also understand that the next person, you or them, are not so different from you. These are the things that then make for these differences in identity are only superficial things. But on the surface, you people are the same thing.
Yeah, but you see, there's one thing they can teach you that, they can give it a name, like let's say civic or civil education, and then what they do, because it becomes mechanical. I have 40 children. What I'll do is 1 hour of teaching. I'll do this. I'll teach this section. So it becomes a thing of imposing, a thing of feeding you information. Now you take in that information becomes you, but it's really just building up that real thing we're talking about, the movement.
Yes.
They don't give the chance to the children, which already have that capacity in them, to observe, to see, to find out who they are.
And not only that, I think children are born with that capacity to, well, they don't have identity anyway when they are still young. Their identity gets created, but they already have it. Because the child can approach anyone. They don't know this one is a bad person, that one is a good person, and all that. They don't choose first.
They're completely empty, or maybe partially empty, but the thing is, they need some baggages to be able to survive.
Yes.
So we need to give them information. That is perfectly fine. But we also need to give them another sort of information of, look, no matter what you've accumulated, you need to find the capacity to have a mirror.
Yeah.
To look back and find out what's really happening in yourself. The same capacity you had to take this and drop it and become the other and so on. So now there's an understanding that actually you are not a static thing. You are a moving thing, and this is what's causing it.
Yeah, part of the whole.
You give them the information, they take it as the information, but now they have to, they have all the time and they are very curious and interested. They will now probably grow up with a very calm mind, a very mind of doubting, pragmatism in everything they're doing. Even the mistakes that they'll be doing will be less.
No, I think that could be the best approach in terms of as a start to the whole movement of making people see what this is.
But just the difficulty, Dumelo, that it's idea we should start with these kids as they are. But now the teacher is sick. We must first heal the teacher.
Because people face these things when they are now older.
Yeah.
I feel like people ask themselves these questions when they are now older.
And
they try and answer them with the thoughts and the the background that has no answers there.
Yeah.
Because
and they're the ones teaching the kids.
Yes, they're the ones also shutting down, with the kids.
Imagine all the chaos, all the damages that is being done right now, all the damage that these parents are doing to their kids in their household right now. Every second that is passing by, we're creating new
identity, a new way of looking at things. I think you have to be very deliberate in your approach to this thing.
Very
see
deliberate.
It for exactly what it is, and be serious about it. Because one thing that I find that people underplay, especially with such things, is to say, no, it's just a discussion. But that's not how real life works. I feel people always feel like, no, it's just two guys talking.
That's the problem.
But once you get there, real life doesn't. But I think someone will say it doesn't work that because they are too busy with the whole movement.
In fact, Brennan, I think we've hit the 2 hours. Do you have someone else? Can we add some more time?
Sure.
Yeah. Maybe we just go on. I feel it's getting interesting. Yeah. So you see, that's exactly the problem. If the man sees only the theory of it, it's just like going to the church and listening to a pastor praying, but it's an entirely different thing when you do the praying and the whole feeling of it and you immerse yourself in it. So similarly to us, from the outside it might seem like a discussion, but for me it's a journey. I'm coming from there, going there. So there's a movement happening. There's a discovery. But besides that, this is why I was saying there's something happening right now that could, I don't want to say, is the reality, is the ground of things, right? That we are not seeing, but now the serious man must be able to not experience that. The serious man is that. Although he can't come and tell you about that, he can't come and explain it. But he will know exactly when that is happening. I was saying he will know. This is where language now is becoming complicated.
Through it. Yeah.
When that is happening, he will see through it. He might not have the words to say it. He might not have the examples and what, but he can come. He can. There's some that become very self-aware, very sensitive. They have heightened senses. Some that do so-called miracles. But that's really just still here, right?
Yes.
But I think those are small little examples of the reality, the fact that this reality could be very limited. That there's something that perhaps is much more free that could perhaps affect this. So I guess maybe that is the only journey left for that man, besides the talking and the discussion.
Yes.
And what.
To even explore further on that. Because you see, for that man, seeing the superficiality of things, and then now coming to a point where you decide, okay, now that I've seen this the way I've seen it, what then becomes next? Tapping into that thing. I think that's where the journey begins.
That's where the real journey starts.
That's where the real journey begins, because you are no longer operating on what is obvious to you, but obviously not obvious to the other person. But now you are almost as if you're seeing Earth from outer space.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how the movement is happening and why it's happening that way and why certain things are happening the way they are happening.
So you see,
maybe the only selfish thing to do then will be to take that and,
hold it for yourself.
Hold it for yourself.
Yeah, that's probably the first reflex. Yeah. Hold it for yourself, because here that's all it is. The identity, yourself, you grow bigger, you have more.
Yeah.
And even in your trying to share it, I believe if you're not careful, there must be some subtle authority that you're introducing in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, obviously, because when you try and explain it to someone, it'll, depending on how that person sees it, but it will obviously separate you, because they'll then begin to see that, okay, you think the way you think, you do things the way you do them, and already that places you at a place where someone is saying, oh, that is you, and that is me here.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like once you have at least tried to, fully be comfortable in it, when you explain it to someone else, I don't think they still have to see you.
That's the point.
While you're doing it.
Yeah.
If anything, I'll think you can explain it in such a way that while you're doing the explanation, I'm becoming you, you are becoming me.
He must understand that he's seeing himself.
Yes, I must be a mirror of yourself. Because once you look at me while I'm explaining to you and you still see me, then we are still worlds apart.
Exactly.
So the understanding will only come when I'm explaining it. As I'm explaining it, you're seeing yourself through that. You're seeing yourself through whatever explanation that I'm giving. I think at that level, it becomes something that could be, of use to the next person, as opposed to, me knowing that boss thinks this way.
Yeah.
Because then, like I said, I'm just seeing a whole different person altogether. So if you've come to a point where you're able to do that, and I also feel as people always enjoy the company of people that make us see ourselves in a certain way. As opposed to being in the presence of someone who, when you're in their presence, the only thing you see is the figure in front of me, who they are. And I think at that moment, your movement stops and people are uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
I would want this movement to still go through you, where I'll have moments of seeing myself through you. And I think the best of friends see less of each other when they look at each other.
Yeah.
Whether it's friends, whether it's people that are in a relationship, people that see less of each other. Because if I see less of you in you, and I see more of me in you, it means I will be very careful about how I treat you.
Yeah, it sounds like we're speaking gibberish now.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. If I see less of you, and I see less of or more of me in you, I'm likely to treat you differently.
Yeah, that's compassion.
And
that's
I'm saying, most
love. That's compassion. Seeing yourself, seeing everything as you.
And it takes a different kind of a person now to make you see yourself through them, because there's this ego.
So I think that person, first of all, must be very honest, because most of us are always hiding.
The camouflage,
camouflaging things.
No, honesty. Yeah. Honesty has to be obvious.
So when someone comes to you and say, "Look, man, I'm struggling," then perhaps you will have the courage to say, "Look, also me, I'm struggling here." Yeah. So when someone comes and say, "Look, man, this is my fear, or this is my anxiety, this is who I am," you're saying it. You might not go in the details of your personal life.
Yeah.
But you are describing your movements of life exactly as it is.
Yeah, being authentic about it.
Then he would probably listen. he might try to resist and say he's different. He acts differently. And I've had discussions with people. You have no idea how much people like to be special and different. No, you see, people might do like this and this, but others, okay, fine, but why do you concern yourself with the superficiality if the foundation of the superficiality is the same?
It's the same, yeah.
Okay, fine, I get it. It's for your own personal ego and feeling alive. Okay, good. But then go and choose that route of your personal life, and there's nothing else but what do you have there? Then you show him, well, this is what you have. You talk. So you see, none of this is possible. The other is not possible, but only through sharing of meaning, sharing of understanding.
And when you say, that's why when you go to a therapist, they don't do much talking. You're the one that does talking because they want you to be the center of the whole thing. Now imagine you go to a therapist and the only thing they do is the therapist talking about him or herself. Then
you get mad.
You get mad.
So you need to be a perfect mirror for someone.
Yes.
So that he can see himself exactly.
Regardless of you being in agreement or in acceptance of who that person is. Because trust me, once somebody is able to see themselves for what they are, the next action will not be an action that you have to force it out of them. They themselves will know what to do next.
So, you see, let's say you have two serious people. They're not drunk anymore. They know that they were addicts. They know the issue. They've taken steps to deal with it, and they're out of it. So they're serious now. I'm using that analogy. Then they meet. Clearly they know going to drink is a no-go zone. And they're burning with this energy to do something because life imposes action. Surely they won't jump into it because they know, look, I've tested fire before. If I go there, I'm just using this example, stupid example. For the ones that drink and smoke, you can go on. So they know that, look, there are some things that are not that important, but they're still burning with this fire. They necessarily have to put it somewhere. They would be very careful. I would bet that they would never dive into the world of let's say, business or politics or what. Not the normal way. It's
too noisy there.
They would probably play along. Maybe they would get into politics by defending what is right. And then the very moment there's propaganda on their side, they'll probably pull out a little bit. Same for business and so on. I think from this level, the world has so much chaos that it would crush them one way or another. But from the other level, the creative level, or the unitary level, where there are no two, but there's only the entity, then it impacts on here. Now, I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like the only thing remaining for those two people is just to be, like you were saying, the word. I'm careful with the word because it sounds very scary. Vessels. You do what you see. And you see what you do. Simple as that. The very seeing of what the real thing is, you try to do the real thing. So as to put order.
I think also, to agree with you, when you then become that man, I think the mistake that you can make is the mistake again of creating your own identity. Because I'm saying the moment you do that, you already fail. Because you are building a whole.
The moment you organize and structure, it becomes problematic.
So the idea is to let people be able to experience this thing without you standing in the way, but with you creating that environment and that space. Right? As fearful as it may be, because there are dangerous people out there. And sometimes you don't allow them to have that space to a point where they realize that by the time you see who you are, I'll be gone. Yeah, understand. But at most, and from experience, I obviously interact with a lot of people in my daily life. But what I've noticed, the people that appreciate certain encounters, maybe we meet, are the people that have had an opportunity to be themselves around me. People love that. People love being in a space where they felt I was heard. That person really understood what I was saying. And I know there are many important stuff out there, but people don't really realize that most of the cries that they have is just a cry to be heard. Whether you are, like we said, whether you are buying a mansion, you want people to say, you are announcing yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You see?
There's nothing more than that.
So when you can be in a space where someone allows you to announce yourself without going through so much suffering, life is better there. That's why people love their mothers so much. You don't need to you don't really need to scream a lot so that your mother can accept you and say, this is my son. And that's why we are most comfortable. I mean, if you had to, think of a person that that person I can go to, and you can't even put a price on that relationship. It will be someone like that. So these are one of the things where I say, if then you are this person that doesn't really think on those things, you'd think you need so much to be seen or to be heard. But the only thing that you need is someone that's going to, create that environment for you. And once that person does that, these are the things that you are now searching for, using these other means. They don't seem so much as the avenue that you should be pursuing. So when you bring someone down and say, look, here is someone, they are able to create that space for you, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, an interaction like this where you meet someone, you speak, and you're able to see how your life unfolds, why you do. There's no price to that. Or you can pay for it if you go to a therapist, or whether it's this people that do psychoanalysis and stuff. But man has to realize that deep down inside, he has that need, that desire to be heard, to be seen.
Basically.
To be.
And to be, you have to be seen, you have to be heard. If you can be seen more than others, better. If you can be listened more than others,
it's better. And so understanding how you can go about it is also important, with less suffering.
Also, there's also danger in this, as in, okay, let's say you create the space, right? See, with this, the more serious you get in it, the more you realize the depth of it.
Yeah.
And the more you realize the sort of side effects that come with it, like the peace maybe, or, maybe you are much more aware of things, you can see things perhaps differently, you're maybe hypersensitive or whatever. But you see, that is fine, but still, you have to go on. You need to be more serious, in fact. You have to be even more serious when you're in that whole sort of other level of the pyramid. The problem is, not everyone is willing to do that, and not everyone will do that. But that's now where you create the real monsters, not only for themselves, but also for others. As in, he can come here, he gets a certain, because with the understanding he has, he can conform himself to society. Follows the laws, he can break the law, but he knows maybe this way to this extent. Yeah. But now, you bring him here, you tell him to wipe out everything, right? He wipes it out by seeing that he is that which he has to wipe out, right? And then now he's in that space on his own. First, he has to be able to handle it, because the same way we're saying, literally, you can walk around seeing yourself everywhere. So either you become, that's what you call it, megalomania. You're too full of yourself, because think, well, all is mine. So that's a very serious, that's a very dangerous criminal, a very dangerous businessman, or a very dangerous politician. If he has that mind, it's a very dangerous. Now, that's one thing. But on top of that, imagine he has that mind and he has some abilities, for instance. He can use his tricks on people. He can use even his talking, his thinking.
Because he now understands
the whole
movement. Yeah.
So it's also a very dangerous man.
It is.
The trick is if you give the chance, or you have the chance to have a sitting with someone and talk about it, he's going to give you a couple of seconds to catch him. If you catch him, you must never, not let him go, but you must make sure he doesn't stop halfway. Otherwise, you're going to be the first victim.
But I also think that a man who still arrives at this and still is in conflict with people, he has not fully arrived.
No, he hasn't arrived.
He hasn't fully
arrived. He
stopped
halfway, but you brought him there.
He hasn't. Or you mean for the man that has been brought there and he has now realized that, okay, this is what it is, and
you created a space for him.
Yeah.
He comes, sits down, and now, in fact, we've created more problems for him. Either because maybe he sees it's too futile, what's the point? He can kill himself. That's one option. The other option, maybe he has abilities. Start perverting the entire world. Or maybe even kill you. I think there you are really creating a monster for the society and for yourself. And he will act on it. Because you see, I've noticed one thing, right? Not quite sure how it works, but you see, there are instances where that reality, and I'm not going to be, let me be humble enough to say maybe there could be something on top that I don't know. Although I highly doubt. But there is instances where that's the reality sort of unfolds to itself, right? But there seems to be an element in it of amazement, of joy in it discovering itself, almost as if it is surprise of itself. So, in that, if there's not enough, I'm trying to connect it to someone normally. If there's not enough grounded understanding, it feels like you would probably hurt without even knowing that you're hurting. You would hurt someone by the very capacity of creating something, because you can do it, but it's really just a mess that you're creating.
You're saying in the sense of that you can't anticipate how the whole thing might evolve.
To the person. No, to the person I think it's easy to anticipate, as in I know probably, but I'm saying let's suppose that reality unfolds to a mind that is not fully grounded, fully
that is the capacity to
not only to handle but also to be good, really, to get away, to leave the unnecessary aside, the superficiality.
But that's exactly my point, that the first stage of man, for me, the first level is where man is struggling to understand his relationship with the superficial. So that's the first one.
You see the other one we discussed, the second stage,
where
there's an understanding. But it's still suffering, right?
Well, it's in two parts. So where there's an understanding, and if the understanding is a full understanding, then he is able to deal with that.
The full understanding is the reality.
Yeah.
When you fully understand it, you are that. Right?
But the meaning now attached to what you understand might not be fully something that you have conceptualized.
I don't think we can ever fully understand it. Even the man who's done the job, he gets glimpses of it. Right? So let's say the understanding, let's just say it's energy.
Yeah.
Complete, undiluted, endless. It's there. And with energy comes creation, right? It can shape itself, it can move, it can take, but it's available for It's there. That's its job, to be there, right? So the vessel seems to be able now to get a bit of it and use it, whichever way he wishes. But if he's still giving importance to the trivia, and he's gotten those small pockets of empty spaces where he can sort of gather the... It almost sounds like we're talking about a cartoon now.
No, I understand.
I don't know whichever way to put it. He will create things. It's like, let's say, what they call them? The sangomas, right? Not all of them are crooks. Some of them actually can do.
Yeah.
And for me, the way I look at it, I wouldn't really condemn them. Like, I wouldn't say I choose a pastor over a sangoma or a priest over a sorcerer, because I think they're still playing in the same
field.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Some just have the intention, for instance, of hurting.
Some have the intention of doing good,
but it's really just the same thing.
They are both dealing with one thing that they have seen. Yeah.
So in that example, let's say, someone who really, he has the knowledge of how it works. And generally it comes with a lot of conflict. I think they have practices, like there's some things they can't eat, there's some places they can't sleep, all of that to restrict, and sort of abandon their identity, almost come out of the world. And then naturally they will have this small pocket of not enlightenment, of maybe insight.
Yeah.
And that would be the energy flowing, as a form of understanding. And now they can use it, right?
Yeah.
Which means what? You take someone, you give someone the understanding of it. It's not that you give it to him, really. It's more of you give the space so that he can sit down and see what is there, what is real. He might not have the capacity to... He might see it, but he might not have the willingness to go all the way, because all the way is very scary. It's the same thing we're talking. Projecting. You don't want to face the actual thing. You'd rather project. So not everyone is willing to die there. But still, he's already in the space and he's already somewhat gotten in contact. And that person in society is a very dangerous person. Either he's doing tremendous good or just doing tremendous harm.
Definitely. Knowledge becomes power, and that person can use it even for evil. But my emphasis is on the man who is still doing that, is because he has failed to go a step further, like what you said. He's fully understood it, but the whole meaning of what it means has not yet arrived at that.
He's not fully understood it. He's explaining it. He can't. He's explaining it because, by the way, he can't fully understand it. He can put images. He would say, maybe, my ancestors. That they once telling me this, or because he's still stuck in his identities, for instance. They tell me this, or they did this to me. So all these illusions happen to his life, and he kind of just explains it that way. He hasn't seen that there's no such thing as ancestors and him. He hasn't seen that there's no such thing as that side and this side. Right?
So he hasn't really fully understood the whole movement. Which is exactly what I'm saying. To say, look, let me also give you an example. I think I've given it here before, but let's say we are brothers. One of our parents, God forbid, dies. Say our mother. Someone comes here, delivers the news and says, accident or whatever it is. When he tells us about the death of our mother, he will tell us the same thing, or we hear the same thing. You might cry, and I might not. But what has happened, we understand it to be death. Right? You will cry, and I won't cry at that moment. What that means is we both understand that our mother is gone. You understand the full meaning of it. That's why you are crying. Because you've experienced the loss. I'm still processing it. I might cry a week or 2 weeks after, when the full meaning has finally hit me. So why I'm giving you that example is, it's one thing to hear what's being said and understand it for what it is, but meaning arrives later to different people, because we process things. You still have to process it through the background. You say, okay, now my mom is gone. And then for some people, because you're not able to take the news at that time, your mind, for some reason, protects you from coming to the whole meaning of what has happened. And only when you are ready to take it, then it will come and say, your mother is gone. It's 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they have already buried her. You are only crying then. But once you get to that point where you're now crying and you've understood the full meaning of what it is, I'm experiencing it the same way you experience it on the first day. Its meaning is now equal to your own meaning. So the same thing with this. When someone then realizes that, look, we're going through life and I'm dealing so much with the artificial, superficial things of life. And even though someone has come and explained to me, and I understand as you put it, because I've given it to you as it is, as he would have given, the news about the death of our mother, and we both understand it. But the meaning now, the meaning of what it means, that
the implications,
yes, could arrive later at that person. But you've already done your part. You have created the background. You've created the thought in that person. It's already there. They can't run away from it. Like what you say, that eventually, But now, as we go through life, your brain just pulls out and say, I think on this one, you need this to understand it. On this one, you need this to understand it. Because whether it's loss, whether it's, whatever it is we go through life, it still has to bounce back from the thoughts that we already have. So that's why you hear someone says we deal with loss differently. But what they're actually saying is, my accumulation that I have to deal with loss is not the same as yours. You understand? And because of that, certain things or certain meanings in our lives will arrive at different times. So your duty there, or your role there, becomes to just plant the thought.
I think you have to also be careful on who you're planning it. And definitely you have to, I think there needs to be a selection. I'm very against the whole thing of elite.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it at all. But it seems it's also your responsibility, for instance, not to give a crazy guy a gun.
Yes. Yeah.
So you would probably see who's coming for what. And generally most of us come for, you want something more than what you have. You want something that can push your ego, your identity to be on top of others. Yeah. That's natural. All of us, if you hear something about this, you probably be, maybe I can use it to my advantage, or maybe I will be more peaceful. That's understandable. But now, if you start doing the work and you actually introduce this investigation to the person, I think generally a very serious man would be amazed by it. Would be amazed in the sense of he sees that all his life has been living a lie. So even his idea of what he should be gaining from the actual interaction and the space that you've opened also vanishes. If from that point in, he has not dropped his things and he's busy asking you, what then when you get because I've met a lot of those ones are impossible to talk to.
But then what happens then?
What's the proof?
Yeah.
And then what happens then? What if you have that? What can you see? He's still stuck here. He's not letting go of anything here.
But this is exactly where I'm trying to bring you to.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, the mistake that on an everyday scenario where you meet people, the mistake that we do as people is when you are interacting with someone, you become the center of the whole thing. It means you came there as yourself, You change nothing, you express yourself, and you just left. If it was your interaction with someone else, that's exactly what happened. But I'm saying where you want to make meaningful impact, where you want to contribute, where you become the vessel, so as to put it, you have to allow that thing that you are interacting with to go through you.
Go through me, meaning?
As a reflection, because if you must reflect, you must hit, and then, Only when you do that, I'm saying the meaning of what you have done might not arrive at that time. It might come to them later on. Sometimes you sit and you say, I remember I had this conversation with boss. He mentioned something like this. But when you mentioned it, I heard you. But the meaning of it is now arriving later on. But that's the first way of looking at it. If you look at it that way, to say, okay, I've already facilitated this and, used myself, whether as a mirror or as a reflection for this person, right? That's the first step. The second step, which you might agree or disagree, I feel like because I'm not separate from this person, what they then do later on is part of the whole movement.
Yeah, for sure.
It's meant to happen the way it's happening, because it's moving. The mistake would be me thinking the way I think and then expecting everyone to follow through.
No, it's not possible for everyone.
It's not possible, yes. So if you see it as not being possible, it means if you have tried by all means to do what you think you are supposed to do, it means anything else should then fall into place. You've done your part. And where people talk about purpose, where people talk about discovering yourself, and I think it all has to do with doing what you think you are meant to do at that particular time. And whether someone accepts it or not, that is not any of your concern. But if you have done what you are supposed to do as part of this whole thing, you have made your contribution, the full implications of what happens or any of that, that's not for you to, to really be concerned about it. Just as you would when you, take your blood again, look at it under a microscope, you see whether it's your plasma, whether your plasma has its own thing that it's supposed to do there. Your white cells have their own job that they are supposed to do there, and they do that job. So when you have then done that, what you feel you're meant to do, and whether it's fulfilling purpose or doing any of that, these other responsibilities, they can only bring you suffering if you are still convinced that they occur on a separate entity as from yourself. But if you don't think of it that way, then you'll see it as part of the movement and as something that's necessary for them to happen that way. And whether the full implications are things that you agree with or not, the bottom line is there is a movement, there is a structure to this thing. And this structure is something that you can even see it on the physical. If you look at Earth right now and somebody asks you what shape is it when you are here, you can't tell.
Well, you don't even know that there's Earth.
You don't until someone... And then when you sit there, you realize that the shape is not just some haphazard, some shape without... It's got a shape that you can put a name to. So there seems to be an order, even on the shape, right? So if the actual shape is an order, it means even this thing has to be in such a way that when I then see it from outside, it gives shape to the whole. So it's necessary that it's here so that I can see Earth the way it is shaped. Otherwise, if it takes a different form, I might see Earth and I'll see there's another foreign shape taking place there. So when you see it that way, you then see that within Earth, everything that's happening, it's taking the movement that it's supposed to take. That's the exact movement that it's supposed to take. And find while you are inside, like what you said, you might see there's chaos there's chaos out there. But where you've done your part and you've done it with less suffering, then you've gone through your movement in life with less suffering.
No, there I think you've done the best you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. You it's not your part to say what will happen after, but perhaps you can determine where you stop, where you break, when you close the space or whatever. For the being of the whole in general. I mean, for the well-being of the whole society in general. Yeah, because in doing this, I think you can actually do much more damage than you would want to.
You can. Especially if you are going to be doing it, like I said, from a place of if your whole drive is more focused, like I said, on the superficial, you can do a lot of damage.
And sometimes even just by giving that courage to someone to do that. I mean, I've spoken to some people when they really, not all of them, but I found one or two that go in this, it becomes chaos in their life. I mean,
pursuing this.
Yeah, pursuing this.
Yeah.
Because they have that feeling that there's something, there's something I'm not quite getting.
I can't get my hand onto it.
Which is still the same thing as when he was just normal.
Yeah.
Of, that energy that I must be occupied with something. So now he's found a laser focus of now there's something to really get to. That ultimate thing.
That pursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows well that, okay, fine, I know that it's my projection and this, which means I have to be able to just be quiet and abandon every pursuit.
I think the abandoning is where I say only a man who's not understood it can arrive to that. But if you have understood it, you are able to partake in it, like I said, but with a different understanding. Because you also realize that without doing that, there isn't any way of being.
Yeah, I guess the problem with people like that is that they understand that, look, this is so bigger than me, than that I can't get myself there. There's nothing that I can do.
But why not have that bring peace?
No, you see, that's the problem.
Because I walk into this room, right, and I see Pranam and I see you, and I have an understanding that I am with people that are not so different to me. But should there be any difference, it's going to be on the superficial level, right? And that difference is not personal to me. So this is how it helps me. I walk into this room and I sit there. And then Anam says, "Who told you to sit there?" And he shouts. One, he doesn't know me. I can't make that personal. If I fully understand where his behavior comes from and why he does that, I can stand up from there without feeling insulted. And he's probably dealing with his own issues. But if I walk in there as a man who is so, engrossed into life,
you're a superstar.
I'll tell him right there and there, you don't speak to me like that. I'm introducing myself to him. He just met me. How does he know how he's supposed to speak to me?
Yeah, no, that's
so. You see, my suffering starts there from the moment I walked in.
Yeah.
So I'm saying for that man, he has a lot of suffering. It's like when you're driving and someone drives, nonsense on the road. You're upset. You're making it personal. Well,
that's a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction, and yes, you can't run away from that.
In retrospect, you understand. So if you're aware enough, you can, in retrospect, you can understand that, okay, no, look, maybe something happening or...
Yes, even after your initial natural reaction, you're like, oh...
Yeah, you don't make it worse.
Yes, my human part took over there. Just like I'll feel a bit offended, like, why is he talking to me like that? But once the reality of what's happening kicks in, where I feel like maybe I just caught him on a bad day, but as long as I understand that his behavior has little to do with me, my suffering is going to be limited or less.
Yeah, but you see, all that is fine, right? We're talking about normal human interactions. That one is fine. But we're talking about the man who went as far as seeing that is just a movement. Yeah, he hasn't really seen the whole. He's seen.
There's peace there.
Yeah. Well, no.
There's.
Let me tell you why there's no peace for some.
There's peace there.
No, let me tell you why there's no peace for some. He sees what he is. Right? He sees that it's just accumulation, memory.
Yeah.
His country, his mother, his personal belongings, his fears, and he knows that. Okay, he's rational enough to know that.
Yeah.
But then I'm stuck with who I am.
But now don't end there.
No, he's not ending there.
Yeah.
Let me show you. He's
Because
not ending.
If he continues from there, then he's going to see that he's also part of something that's big.
Yeah, now that's where the problem starts. He knows that, okay, if this is what I am, when this isn't, there must be something much bigger than what I am. Even though he knows, of course, he's intelligent enough to say that even this projection of much bigger is my identity playing.
Yeah.
But really, put aside all of this,
Yeah.
there seems to be something beyond recognition or analysis or whatever. Yet, there's nothing I can do to get there because my very movement is
this
my,
here that
my getting away from it. So you see, that's where the problem starts. But there's an anticipation. There's something he's waiting for. Like we're saying, there's something behind.
Well,
So I think most people that want to see, that's when desire now comes into being. When you want something, which means you know it, you put it there. The same equation again of projecting and you put it there. And then the anticipation now is there. You feel like I should do this way, I should not do this way, you know. So that's when you're back again at that whole game. Yet you know the meaninglessness of it.
Yeah.
So some people I feel get stuck there, and that's where the depression comes.
Yeah.
That's where they feel like there's no real meaning to here. They want something else.
I think the mistake would be to totally abandon the whole thing, or let me put it as it is, to totally stop living just because you've seen that.
The mistake would be to think that you can stop living.
Yeah. Or to attempt to do it. Because someone can just go to the mountain and be like, I'm going to
But that's still living. That's a very stupid thing.
So the other thing is to realize that once you see it, right, like what you said, and then you act on it, whatever act that you do is still coming from here. So the only thing, and I don't know if it also comes to your inner state, that where you can put or place yourself will still be a product of this thing here. Which is why I was saying that you then have to accept that apart from this, you cannot be anything that can be put a finger to. Whatever you become is something that's neutral at that point.
Neutral, how?
In terms of identity.
Can an identity be neutral?
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That once you start acting it out while we are here experiencing it, you can only act it out based on this thing that you have seen through.
Yeah. So I think what I'm saying is the man has realized that he's in jail. The man has realized that anything done here...
He's in jail as long as he's living it through
no,
through this.
No, Dume, he's in jail. Let me show you the jail.
Let me ask you this. Is the vessel part of this? Let me put it that way. Yeah, is it part of the movement?
Part of the division...
Yes.
Divisionary movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what sense?
Because he's bound here. There's he has an identity. He has fears.
But
desires,
you see, that identity is something that that was created.
Yeah.
Right? So it means there was something that needed the identity to be created on.
Yeah, you see, everything here normally should be is a vessel. That some people might not be aware of.
Okay. So when you say is a vessel, what is that vessel?
You mean...
Is it Zulu? Is it Venda? Is it Ndebele?
What? I don't understand the question. Okay. Put it differently.
So you are saying while we are here, you obviously develop an identity.
Yeah.
A way of seeing yourself. You are developing that from where? Because you need a foundation to develop that from, or you need a...
In fact, development is only possible here.
Yeah, but on what? What are you developing on?
On because here is the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's division is where development can happen.
Yes.
Is where movement
So I'm saying
happen.
the development of myself is to me.
Yeah.
Where am I building it from? Not what am I building it with?
Yeah.
Where am I building it from? What is holding that capacity for me
the ground?
Yes, to
the
build the
ground
identity.
The ground is not here. The ground is the whole.
This is exactly what I'm saying. That then when you see yourself as part of the whole, it should be enough for you to lessen the suffering, because there you realize you are part of something bigger.
Yeah, you lessen it.
Yes. So you lessen it.
It's here.
It's here, but while it's here, you know it's not everything. What you represent is part of something that's big, something, the whole movement, as I said it.
Yeah, you see, for instance, what I'm saying. Here we are, even this discussion of something bigger.
Yeah.
You see, the only reason we are talking about the whole and all of that is because we are divided.
Mm-hmm.
The whole can never talk about itself.
Yes.
It can never be.
That's why I said it's neutral. It has no identity.
Well, if you give it that word,
it has no. That's what I was saying. There's no language there. There is no identity. There is no do me. There is no boss. You understand?
It's a state of not being, but understand the contradiction. It's a state, which means it is there.
Yeah.
While it is not there. So there's that duality as one happening, which is tremendous energy. But here we are like one side of the coin. You know, or it could be the other side of the coin, whichever. But the whole cannot develop. It cannot know itself. It cannot suffer. It cannot whatever.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Because it functions as a whole. I understand that.
So that from that is creation, right? Creation as in because.
So when you see yourself that way, where is the source of suffering?
So the man who suffers when he sees that is because he's never really seen it.
So we agree.
He stopped halfway.
He's not fully.
Yeah.
And I'm saying as long as
remember we're discussing about the categories of people that stop halfway.
And also as long as we find ourselves, whether you want to call it this realm or this earth or whatever, it almost seems like that's how life has been structured. For this world to experience it that way, there seems to be no escape. But whether you call it
vice versa,
whether you call it prison or you call it, because when you say prison, you are now talking of a state of being, which also comes from your thoughts and how you would define what a prison is, and it would differ from one person to the other.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for me, when I looked at it and realized that, okay, I see that my thoughts, what I do...
But what is a prison to you?
It'll be an environment where I feel there's no escape.
Where you are limited.
Where I'm limited.
Yeah.
Yes.
But isn't that life?
Not completely.
How so?
Okay. So if I've come to a point where I realize that I'm a piece which is part of the whole, right? But while I'm here in this body, or whatever you want to call it, right, I have to live my life this way. But it's not everything, because people die. Things happen. I'm aware that it's not everything. I might not have the full information of what comes after or what happens. But what you and I can't deny is my interaction and my experiences in this world and what I do are because of the things I've accumulated here and the things that I've got through, whether my
which are limited.
Which are limited,
those are the ones that limit you.
Here, while I'm here.
Well, you see here...
But my thoughts don't stop on the limitations. I know there's a movement.
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, so you see, listen to it very carefully. You know.
Yeah.
Which means there's the understanding is the limitless.
Yes.
The knowing is the limit. Because understanding is flowing constantly.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
the gathering of the understanding is what you call I know, which is thinking.
Yeah.
That's what human beings are in terms of navigating throughout life.
But also, there is knowledge that you can come about through, let's say, I think they call it inference. So, for example, if we are here and you see a light far off, right? Let's say you see a light somewhere far off, right? Because you know where there's light, there's probably a human being. You haven't been there. You haven't gone there. But because of what you know, you know there must be people.
You anticipate the person. Yeah.
You understand? Not because you've been there. And not because you have knowledge that tells you for certain that there are people there. But you are inferring that if there's light there, there should be people, because light is a man-made thing. So this is what I'm saying, that if you see how life works, there seems to be a constant movement that's happening. Do we know where that movement ends?
No.
Do we understand where it came from?
No.
See,
but our
we can only infer.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We already we have assumptions.
Yeah.
That it started and that it's going.
Yeah.
Because we are in the limits.
I'm using language too. Yeah.
No, in the limits, even in the thinking process of it. Yeah, I mean,
it's as if there's point A and point B.
Point A and point B.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm calling it prison. Maybe it might sound bad. Let me just call it limitation. But that's because you are limited to this perspective. Outside of the perspective, there's no movement. There's really never been a
point A, point B. Yeah.
So it's like someone understanding that all he's doing is moving in circle. He has an understanding of it because he's somewhat been in touch with maybe something where there's no beyond the circle. But it's never been actual, as in, he's never really been proven. Proven. Because when you prove it or when you see it entirely, you are that at that moment. And then when you are no longer that, you come back to your prison. You come back to your circling around, the eternal circling.
Where I'll agree with you is on the limitation part. If your idea of prison is to say it's a state where you have limitations, where you can't go, over such boundaries or over, then yes, it becomes a prison in that sense. But you yourself and how you understand yourself to be, and understanding yourself as part of this whole, I think at that state, it does not feel like prison.
No, at that state, it shouldn't feel like prison. On the contrary, it should be amazement of creating the prison. So that you can put a vessel to experiment the prison
to experience. Or it's like, some people even call it it's just the gods playing joke on humanity. If you look at it, once you see it that way, you like this is some hilarious joke that's happening here.
But it certainly must be much more serious than that.
Maybe outside of this, maybe outside of this, it is serious, because I've come to even believe that, I know a lot of people have different view on this, but that whatever happens here, it's meant to happen. It's part of the.
There's no error or
mistake. There's no error or mistake. Yeah, it is meant to happen, and there might be some variations of exactly what I mean by that, and some. But I believe that if this thing is a whole, then the way it's functioning, it's fulfilling a certain purpose for the whole. You understand? Just like I gave you that example of the earth being, I don't know if they say sphere or round, right? There's that shape that takes form there. And I think even in non-physical sense, there is a shape of what is happening, which has to happen that way for it to function. And if it doesn't happen that way, I even think of, there's this animal called the dodo. I think it was a bird, became extinct, it couldn't fly. Okay. And I said to myself, when you look at how life works, most of the time things that have have outlived their usefulness, they die. If you are still alive and you're still breathing, there's something that you're still useful for, that you're still functional for, that requires you to be there. Because life as it is teaches us that if something ceases to be useful, it dies out. When last did you see a 1 cent coin?
1 cent.
Yeah.
With this inflation, it's impossible.
Why did it go out? Because it became something that's useless.
So, if I may ask, why do people in general look at this and think it's normal? Because with this, you should be walking around with the amazement.
It's the illusion of the mind to keep you going. It's necessary for you to keep going. But just like,
see, now that's the problem. The knowledge has, why you see it as normal? Because you are constantly in your thoughts.
Yeah.
You are constantly thinking about yourself, which is rigid. What you look at a camera, it's nothing, it's constantly rigid because of your identity and your knowledge. But in attention or in observation, investigation, where there's not that division, as in you try it and then you see that you are constantly dividing yourself from yourself, and then it seems to be the amazement.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm responding to, what the difficult part about this thing is one of the ways to get to it, and it's difficult to explain to someone how you can get to see things for what they are, or get to understand something for what it is to totally stop trying to understand it.
Yeah, exactly, to stop moving.
And if you think you know something, is to totally stop, all your knowledge of that thing. Then you see that thing for what it is. So you see, it's almost opposite to how we are.
No, it's completely
it works
opposite to how we.
If you want to know something about this, you obviously have to read about it and stuff. But on this, you have to make sure that you forget everything that you think you know. And for some reason, no one believes that then these things come and you understand them without putting effort, without trying.
Yeah. Effort is our biggest enemy.
When you talk like this, they think this person is talking about some trends kind of things. But unfortunately, that's exactly how it comes. You have to come to a point where you say, I'm going to discard.
No, there's no effort needed in this.
There isn't.
If you introduce effort in this investigation, you are not investigating.
Yeah.
If you introduce knowledge in this inquiry, you are not doing it.
You're not.
Right? And that relates to what I was saying, that the actual thing is really happening now. As in, all you really have to do is to stop moving.
But now, where I have to ask you, because you did mention that for that man who comes to that point and then he stops, what does it do? And I was saying, that question you can only ask if you think there should be something that you are doing there. Because your whole life, you've been taught that for you to achieve anything, you have to be doing something.
Yeah, you have dozens of lives of years of doing.
While there is a state of stillness that if you come to it, this knowledge that you put effort into coming to, you arrive at that.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because it is for the man that sits still that seems to understand things clearer. Not the one who's doing much, but the one who has times and he sits.
I mean, look at that child, the Japanese child who discovered that whole thing, and you have all these grown-ups. So, start wrapping. All right, just give me 5 minutes, please. Yeah. Look at that Japanese kid. He learned that by being quiet, by looking, he was not in his thinking too much. But those guys were struggling because they had years of knowledge.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, even for that guy who struggles, and then thinks that now he must keep doing something. If you really stop, this thing unfolds itself with no effort.
Yes.
And it's as clear as day. But then you really have to stop. You have to face that whole death.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require you to hide somewhere. It could be in a busy neighborhood. And I had an incident like that back home. Very chaotic place, very, very complicated environment where I was at that specific point in time. And I just sat. I found out I couldn't do anything about it. I was just sitting. And, the whole thing unfolds really. As in why you are there, why it should be that way, and where it should be going in the next few minutes or so on. But it takes courage. I mean, in that whole chaos, to sit down and say, well, I give up. Not give up as in, I'm not going to do anything, but like, okay, fine, let me look.
Let me see.
Yeah, let me accept my reality.
Yeah.
So you accept first your tiny reality before you see.
Well, you have to even go down as changing your vocabulary, because when you say my reality, you still
accept reality.
Accept this thing for what it presents itself as it is in front of you, and realize that there's only so much that you can do. Not just not to be active in your life, just no. But to really be honest in observing how life unfolds before you, as opposed to drowning yourself in it. That puts you in a better...
So I think most of the time the best action, just to close this, I think the best action most of the time is non-action.
Yes.
It's just to be, to look. And whatever you accumulate, that's when thought comes in and you can dissect it, you can play around with it, you can give it importance or not, and then you drop it. In that, I feel that is the pathway to the end of the misery as we are. And from there you act, from there you shape society, from there you fix wars. And these guys that are fighting right now, it's just a matter of sitting down and talk.
Yeah.
You see, they sit and talk about the number of missiles they must build. They say, no, we agreed to 40 missiles, you're building 500, so there's a problem. But they should be sitting down and talking about the basic things. Why they're thinking that way, they're thinking. Then there's no need to build missiles anymore.
But here's the flip side to it. Have you noticed that most wars end in negotiation?
Yeah. There's no single war.
Then you should have done that from the beginning.
But that's the thing. There's no single war that has ever ended without a negotiation. Yes. Even the winners.
Yeah. They still have to negotiate.
They negotiate with the loser and say, look, we'll do this. Just calm down a little bit. Yeah. Or from now on, you do this. So there's some sort of negotiation.
Yeah. Which is something that could have even been done before.
From the very beginning.
So you don't need the fighting to actually come to a point of peace. It's just me trying to make you see the way I see things, and you also showing me how you see things, and based on that we come to an understanding. So
we're the most unserious species. Brennan, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. I'll try to come back to you guys as soon as possible. I had gone back home, so I was a little bit caught up with some personal stuff. And I figured, by the way, doing this year I'm a bit busy. There's a lot I'm trying to put together, but I'm trying to involve more people. I think the people that I've spoken with so far, I think we almost have the same understanding now. You can see there's a basic understanding.
Yeah.
So I was trying to see how, from that group, if you have one or two people that completely see differently, how that would impact them.
Yeah.
So there's someone who's contacted me. He's got an organization. He's got schools and what's not. But I'm very careful introducing these kind of things to just random people, or even especially
kids.
Kids. I think you need some sort of maturity. You need to go through some things. But if you're talking about prisoners and all of that, I'm really now considering that.
Yeah.
So I'll see if time allows, if you can help me also do it.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate it. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.